For everyone's time, I'm just going to go ahead and get us started. Are we on, Kurt?
Oh, here, let me.
You're live.
Unmute. Okay.
Okay. All right, welcome and good evening. This is Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting for Thursday, October 9th, 2025, City Commission Room in City Hall. We'd like to first give a little bit of time for there to be introduction to the hybrid format, and then we'll go into the agenda as planned.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Please silence your cell phones to minimize distractions during the meeting. The primary format for accessing and participating in this meeting is in person at City Hall. Virtual access to participate in the meeting cannot be guaranteed. The chat function will not be monitored. General public comment will be accepted at the end of the meeting. When the chair calls for public comment, please approach the podium to indicate you wish to speak. Virtual participants should use the raise hand function to indicate they wish to speak. Once your name is called, you will be unmuted and you may turn on your camera to provide your comment. The city reserves the right to turn videos off or to mute participants. Please state your name before speaking. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. All right, so we're getting right into the agenda. We've got a full packed house this evening. And so we'll begin with agenda item A, calling to order. I will go through the roll call because we do have some familiar faces or unfamiliar faces as well. So we'll go through as listed. And if you're here, say aye. Mark Bueller.
I'm here.
Okay, good evening, Mark. Barry McMurphy.
I'm here.
Welcome. Andrew Gallagher is no longer with us. Mario Fierro. Mario's not here. Christina Gentry, present. Elizabeth O'Neill is also, and we'll have some additional updates towards the end of our meeting if we are given time about Elizabeth O'Neill's participation. Donovan Dillon. Donovan, are you available online? No? Okay, and Monty Soka.
Here.
All right, good evening, all. And if we can, just do a little bit of introductions. If you would just so entertain us, Barry, with a small excerpt, a little blurb about you, and just let us know who you are.
I'm Barry McMurphy. I live here in Lawrence, on the kind of northwest part of town. I retired a year ago from Kansas Housing Resources Corporation after 15 years. Prior to that, I had 15 years with a nonprofit, Chodo, in Topeka. That's it.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it, and welcome. Okay, so the next item we will do is we will go ahead and go to approving minutes. I will ask for roll call just because I'm not sure if Donovan will introduce themselves later. So if I could have a motion to approve the minutes for the September 11th, 2025 meeting, or ask if there's any comment on those meeting notes. Okay, seeing no.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, seeing a first and a second. I will go through the roll again. Mark Bueller.
Aye.
Aye. Barry McMurphy.
Aye.
Andrew Gallagher's not here. Mario Fierro's not here. Christina, aye. Elizabeth O'Neill's not here. Donovan Dillon. Nope. And Monty Soka.
Aye.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 yeas, and so the action is moved. And we will go on to the next. Our agenda C item for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is to receive affordable housing application presentations. And so if that comes with an introduction from you, Leah, I would welcome that. If not, we can move right into the bulk of our meeting, which is to receive the presentations in the order that they are placed on our agenda. And so moving forward, we have community engagement application presentations. First in line, we have the Homeless Resource Center.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me? Does the mic pick me up if I don't raise this all the way up?
Yeah. I can hear you.
It's lovely. Cool. So my name is Brett Hartford. I am the executive director of the Homeless Resource Center. We are a nonprofit here in town at Tenants, Kentucky. Provide resources for people who are experiencing homelessness. And The secondary piece to that is I am a mouthpiece for our community to help people understand what poverty and homelessness and looks like on a human level. My background is I was born and raised in Lawrence, left here when I was 18 to go to school, and then I ended up working in New York City for a decade, serving people experiencing homelessness. And then I had the opportunity to come back and do the same here, and I took it. And so for the past 2 years, I've been trying to help our community understand what poverty looks like here and translate that in a humanizing way that lowers the barrier and makes it less us versus them. And so my proposal for you guys as part of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is an awareness campaign on what affordable housing is. I was throwing this presentation out to some people, and I said what I'm about to say now, and they're like, oh, don't say that. That's going to make you sound stupid. And I don't care, because I think that this is the crux of it, is I don't understand affordable housing in our community. I am supposed to be the expert for our community in translating what the resources are to the people who need them and make it tangible. And I have not experienced yet a conduit that makes it understandable. My goal is to make it very clear when somebody is looking for help that they know where the front door is. My goal is also to take and make complicated, hard subjects and make it clear for our public to understand it at the same time. And when it comes to affordable housing, all I just hear is misinformation. I hear people that are trying to access it going, I don't know who to ask, I don't know where to enter, I don't know what form to fill out, I don't know if do I go in over here, what is this building, what do they do over there, do I qualify for it? I can't find any, that conversation comes to me every single day of my life, of the work that I do. And at the same time, I hear misinformation from the public going like, I don't want that near me. That's going to lower my property value. That's going to make it harder for me to survive and thrive in this community. And no one has shown me what the right answer is. And so what I bring to you guys is I want to take a year and make it tangible. So make it so that people that are trying to find the front door know what it looks like, and make it for our community members who are filled with misinformation and just think it's going to hurt them, help them understand what it actually looks like and what it actually means. You guys are going to hear from some amazing organizations today that are trying to do great things and build housing and make things tangible that are not. And my worry is that all of this is going to happen and no one's going to know about it. Again, you guys will put out reports and there's going to be a newsletter and a couple people are going to read that newsletter, which is great. But I think that for our community to move forward as a whole, where we are all informed and we all have compassion for each other, we have to be informed. And so, I want to spend, what I do, if you guys don't follow me or the work that I do, is I put out videos all the time. So I take a subject, yesterday it was 988 in our community, and I said, hey, I got a phone call from a downtown business, and they said somebody in their community was going through a mental health crisis and they didn't know what to do, so they called me. And then I explained them, this is 988 and this is how you access it and all that. So you might go like, oh, well, you work in homelessness, affordable housing isn't technically that, so maybe you don't have the connect there. And just so you know, like my mouthpiece in this work is very broad. It's just helping people who are trying to access resources understand what it is. And so I pulled the data just so you guys are aware. In the past 28 days, we have had, I don't want to misquote, I took a picture of it. In the past 28 days, through our Facebook page only, and this doesn't capture our Instagram or any other communication tools, but we've had 54,000 individual views on the communications we've put out. That is equated to 2.5 days of people viewing our content. It has 1,619 clicks of people liking, engaging, commenting, all of that. And to an audience of 9,800 people. So just over the past 28 days. And so our reach is pretty big. We tag everybody that's involved in it, and we try to help the community just be informed. And so, again, my presentation, the details of it go into more detail, but I'll be in churches, having conversations with different church communities. We'll be putting out a different video every single week talking about what affordable housing is, new builds that are happening, how people access it, stigmas, all of those. And it's alongside of radio PSAs and conversations with people. So it's not just my voice. I'll have other people on there as well, because I want people to understand what it actually looks like and how it affects the community. So I just wanted to give you guys, again, half the time, and I want to give half the time for you guys to ask any questions that you have to make it more tangible.
Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question. You said you had 9,000 some odd people.
Yeah.
Can you tell how many of those are like in this community or in this zip code or
Yeah.
county or whatever? Because I mean, it doesn't help us if somebody in New York City.
Yeah, for sure. The top, every single click came from Kansas on the thing. I didn't screenshot that one, but I went through it last night.
I'm not asking for an exact number.
Yeah,
Your reach is primarily Kansas.
it is Kansas, yeah. Yeah.
I had a question. So, and looking and reading into your application, it talks about delivery of 10+ church talks with post-event survey responses.
Yeah.
What are church talks, and
Yeah.
what did the surveys look to capture? I'm thinking about like, what are you trying to glean from those surveys as they come as a post-event response?
Yeah. So usually it could be like a Sunday school portion of the church, so like before the church starts, or speaking at a Sunday service. Usually what I do is I will distribute a survey before I speak, talking about, for this instance, it'd be affordable housing, saying like, here are 10 questions about affordable housing, and seeing what people know, and then at the end of it, I'll do the same thing and see what people knew at the beginning and what people know at the end for this type of setting.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Do anywhere in your work do you mention helping people find jobs?
Yeah.
Is jobs a part of it?
It is a huge part of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, us ourselves, we created a job program. So for this year, we have 1,300 hours of work that we're paying to people in our community to work. And then I'm also get people connect up with the Kansas Workforce Center and send them over there to
Who's we?
myself and my volunteers at my organization. We serve 80 unique people a day that come in our doors seeking resources. 250 unique people a month and 900 unique people a year come through our doors.
And do you have any sense of your job placement?
Again, I don't have the data on that, other than the people that we directly hire.
Okay.
So we've had 25 people have gained employment hours through our work program, but it's brand new. We started it 6 months ago.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Okay, if I ask a question.
Yes.
So you started your presentation saying that you, something like, you don't really understand affordable housing in this
Yeah.
town. So in that case, how would you educate others on
Yeah.
what affordable housing is and what the resources are?
Yeah, by learning together. So basically what I've spent my entire career doing is I didn't understand homelessness when I started either. I've never experienced homeless, I've never been outside, and I have spent thousands of hours asking questions and sitting with people who are experiencing homelessness, and I've been able to learn and translate that so that the public can understand the human side of it. And so that's the same approach that I would take to this, is that, again, and this is why people said, don't say that, because you'll sound stupid. Because, again, you're like, well, why would we give you money in order to if you don't know about it? That's the whole point, is that if I, an expert in the space of helping people in need, don't understand what's going on, that's an issue. And so I want to spend a year figuring out what's going on and making it tangible for our community. Because it's hard, like, if you all know exactly what it is. You're very, very clear. And so when something happens, like, there could be an acronym, and you'll just scan through it because you know what that acronym means. Coming from my perspective, I don't know what any of the acronyms mean. I don't know what any of the data is. And so digging into it with people who also don't know what those things are, we get to learn together. And so I can make it super tangible for people that are coming from the same perspective that I have.
Question. We've got a couple more minutes, so I will ask another one if the board doesn't have any. So reading back into your application, you talk about how this collaboration and how this tangible becomes something that's accessible. You state in your application that you will report quarterly using a platform analytics and the city and county dashboards tied to a Place for Everyone dashboard. And each part of your content, which will be 52 weekly videos, will introduce a theme that will link directly to plan targets and a live dashboard indicators. I'm reading verbatim. I love data, and I want to know how you're going to do that working with the city or county. Do you have an MOU or some agreement that you will take the dashboard information and use that as your platform, so social media? And how does that look?
Yeah, so I planned on using our social media analytics alongside of the data that comes out from the, I have seen, there's the Affordable Housing newsletter has data in it of things that are being built and conversations that are being had. So I planned on taking my data plus your data and putting it together into a report. So I don't have an MOU. I would be interested in knowing what that would look like, but I was planning on taking the publicly available data and using it together.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I just
So, but if you have ideas, again, I'm open to having ideas on how we can get, again, there are people who feel things, and there's people who don't feel things, but they see data and numbers, and that's how they understand things. And I think it needs a both-and approach. And so, for me, I'm a feeler. But my wife's not a feeler. She's an analytics person. Mm-hmm. And so I look forward to translating that so both types of people in our community understand what's going on and how it's happening.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So how does what you're proposing translate into addressing some of the critical needs you identified, affordability gap, substandard conditions, cost-burdened households? Can you connect those dots between what you're proposing and the things you're trying to target here?
Yeah, I mean, I think information changes lives. And I think that when people understand what's going on, they're more willing to take part in it. And so I think that when people understand what affordable housing is and what it isn't, that it'll strengthen all these things that these guys are trying to do, all the housing that people are building. It will make it'll make everything better. And so, again, I think as people understand everything better, it'll change the what of affordable housing in our community. I don't know if that makes sense. So. For me, I just think there's gaps, and there's big gaps of people understanding. And I think when people don't understand something, they're afraid of it. And when they're afraid of it, there's a big gap of people wanting to be engaged in it. And so I think that if we can minimize the gap between people not understanding and understanding something, takes away the fear. And again, I think it increases the goodness of everything else everybody's doing.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay. And so just to preface as well, Just letting everyone know, I know that everyone knows that you have 10 minutes, and that's why we're looking at the clock. I am not good with time, so I'm really trying to be very astute to time. So yes, 10 minutes, and then we have 5 minutes for Q&A. But yes, thank you. So the next person, or next organization we will receive information from is the Lawrence Tenants, an educator for everyone.
Do you see your presentation up there?
It looks like it's getting pulled up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Got you right there, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share this and you're on. Hold on. Okay, and you're driving the boat now.
Okay, awesome. All right. So let me put this into. Where is the slideshow?
Top, working one up from home. You're all up.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, cool, awesome. All right, well, thank you. So my name is Vince Munoz. I'm an organizer with Lawrence Tenants. It's good to see many of you again, and it's good to see some new faces as well. And I'm going to be presenting our proposal for an educator for everyone. And so just to start off with a refresher, or in case people didn't know, Lawrence Tenants is a group of renters here in town. We're not an official nonprofit. We have a memorandum of understanding with an existing nonprofit in town that acts as our fiscal sponsor. We do have one paid staff member now because of last year's Affordable Housing Trust Fund grant, and that's been super successful, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But primarily, we're a volunteer group. And we do I think the best way to describe Lawrence Tenants is to describe us as doing two things. The first thing is to educate renters in our community about existing rights that we have. And the second thing is to advocate for additional protections and additional affordable housing measures. And to that end, we do a number of different tactics, including things like having events that are public to renters, like at the Lawrence Public Library, the ECM, Sunrise Project, and other venues. We table at public events like Pride and Juneteenth and other kind of community events. We also do door knocking at tenants' doors. And currently, we're working with the county. We're engaging with the county on creating potentially a tenant right to counsel program, which is a part of A Place for Everyone, as most of you know, the joint city-county like homelessness prevention and affordable housing plan. And so our proposal is to have 2 full-time educators to increase community awareness about existing renter protections, and also to increase tenant engagement with the city as part of that kind of like community engagement part of this application, or of the fund, trust funds like sort of scope. And then also, as part of the proposal, we would like to use some of the funding for things like educational materials, having childcare at some of our events, which we haven't really been able to do. We've done in the past a little bit, but we'd like to be able to do more consistently, since not all renters at different life stages or at different familial statuses can kind of come to many of these events. So making our events more accessible to people, I think, is really important, and that's part of the funding proposal as well. And so the budget is just broken down here. It's $70,000 per educator. That includes both the salary and other costs associated with hiring someone and maintaining that employment status and health insurance stipends. And then the other amount is for the educational materials. And so, as I mentioned, we did get a grant last year, and I will just kind of like update you on the progress of that and why that's been so important to us. And just as like a note on this slide, so this is from like the second quarter, but it's the first quarter of this person starting. We hired an educator on April 21st of this year, and so they started in the second quarter. And also this presentation was due October 1st, and so I can update you on a little bit of the next quarter's data as well. But just from that first quarter that we had someone, we were able to do 6 canvassing sessions, 3 Know Your Rights events at the Lawrence Public Library, and that included partners such as Kansas Legal Services. We had an attorney come and explain things like how to get your security deposit back in case you feel that it's been unlawfully withheld, and other kind of like things about sort of like the eviction process and things like that. And we've also answered like inbound tenant inquiries, people emailing us, people like messaging us on social media. We hadn't in the past, before hiring this person, been able to consistently and in a timely manner do that all the time. And that's been a huge game changer for us. And so based on the first quarter of this person starting, which is quarter 2, we can confirm that we hit 319 tenants, and we may have hit as many as 675. The reason for the difference in those numbers is that like there were times when we were canvassing at people's actual apartments, in which we left literature. So we didn't actually talk to them, but they may have looked at some of our educational material. So that explains the difference between those two numbers. The 319 are people we know for sure we talked to, and the 675 are people who may have looked at our educational materials. And And I can just like verbally confirm that we can verify that we hit 473, including the next quarter, which we didn't have time to include in this slide. And the number of volunteers that we've increased the number of our members and volunteers by like exponentially, again, just by having someone who could answer our email to be like, here's when the next new member meeting is, which has been a game changer for us again. And so just thinking about why this is needed, renters are incredibly cost burdened. More than a third in Douglas County, according to the County Tenant Experience Survey, are paying more than half of their rent, or more than a third of their rent, income towards rent. 37% experience housing problems as defined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and 63% in our county had unresolved maintenance requests. Additionally, Lawrence, just as a city, conducted a fair housing assessment and found a number of similar issues, especially as it relates to racial inequities, as noted on this slide. And a key to sort of solving many of these problems is empowering tenants with knowledge about what their rights are in order for them to assert those rights. And so again, like renters can only assert their rights if they know them. And I'll just give you a little anecdote about something that the city did specifically, which was to pass a source of income ordinance. That was passed, I think it was in February of 2023 is when the source of income ordinance was passed. It didn't go into effect until June of 2023, but the first instance of source of income being enforced was not until July of 2024. The reason for that is because the city has no way of sort of like proactively looking at people's application materials, their leases, communications between landlords and tenants. And so the way that this law gets enforced is through tenants knowing their rights, reporting it to the city in an affirmative way, right? And so if tenants don't know those rights in the first place, they can't report them when they're violated. And so in that first instance that was reported on when the city first enforced it, a tenant reported that they felt that their rights had been violated. That's how the city knew that it needed to enforce the law in that way. And so, again, our proposal is just to continue to have educational topics, educational material, reaching out to tenants to say, here's what your rights are under Lawrence City Code, here's what your rights are under the Kansas Landlord-Tenant Act, and so on. And also additionally, again, just like being able to continue to grow our base allows us as Lawrence tenants to engage with the city on a place for everyone and other kind of affordable housing measures. And that just falls into the community engagement part of the sort of scope of this trust fund. Those are the main points of my presentation, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
I have one. Is any part of what you do discussion with the people that you're dealing with about job stability, places for job improvement to possibly earn more money to not have to deal with the issues they deal with?
No, I mean, that's not really what we focus on. And we find also, too, that people at like a variety of incomes deal with different things. I mean, I can just personally say that I'm a renter. I have 2 college degrees and a full-time job and, retirement that's automatically being taken out of my paychecks. And I still have problems with my landlord. So, a majority of Lawrenceans are renters. And so even across multiple...
Would you uniquely have choices they might not have?
That is true, for sure. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I just wanted to make a comment and then also ask a question about sustainability.
Yeah.
For this. So I appreciate the use of the public engagement model. You used a spectrum that influences public engagement. I have the acronym up here, but it eludes me. But it also, the public engagement part really stimulates me because that is really important to move these initiatives and the projects into the place where people need them most. So I like the model that clarifies the role of the public in the decision-making progress. It sets clear expectations about the extent for public decision-making, and this is really a collaborative part of the engagement piece. So thank you for that. I have a question about the sustainability aspect of it. You say that you hired your educator in April 21st of 2025 with the fundraising plan development that hadn't really gotten off yet. It's kind of 4 months because I guess of onboarding and all the things. Fundraising is a really important part of sustainability, and so I just am curious about if you will be able to provide a more extensive or in 2026, when there's been a year for that person to be in that space, will you have a review and a plan that you can share with us about the sustainability of your outreach and engagement?
Yeah, I mean, definitely by 2026, we would definitely have that because we are having some early conversations with funders. We actually had a group of our members go to like a conference in Kansas City over the weekend, like literally just this past weekend, in which funding was discussed as a possibility. As you know, there's a similar group in Kansas City, KC Tenants, and they have like a funding system. They don't receive any funding from their local government. They're only privately funded, and so there are examples of funders like that. And yeah, we are having those early conversations with funders and like really hope for that to be the primary way that we kind of receive money. We have also received a few one-off donations. We got like a $500 donation not too long ago. And like I said, we have an existing relationship with a fiscal sponsor. So yeah, we are thinking about that like sustainability in the long term.
Thank you.
Yep.
So how's the question here? Is your work primarily focused on helping individuals or perhaps tenant groups advocate for themselves, or do you also do any kind of public policy advocacy?
Yeah, so we do a little bit of both. We're definitely really public policy focused at the current moment. As I kind of mentioned just a little bit in passing in my presentation, we're currently working with Douglas County on exploring a tenant, a right to counsel program, which is one of the sort of like tactics that's talked about in the A Place for Everyone plan. And what that would do is provide an attorney to anyone facing an eviction in Douglas County. There were more than 500 people who faced eviction in 2024. And many tenants have, like, for example, a counterclaim or some other like legal mechanism that they can use to combat an eviction. In fact, when Kansas City implemented their right to counsel program, more than 80% of instances in which someone was assisted by that attorney or by that representation got a favorable outcome. And so it went from being like a pretty one-sided, the landlord typically wins, to being, 80% of those renters covered by that policy, like, had a favorable outcome. And one of the points that I make about right to counsel specifically is that it also acts as an enforcement mechanism. So, like, in the eviction process, one of the things you can do is countersue, essentially. You basically say, well, I may owe this money to my landlord, but they violated the Americans with Disabilities Act in the design of their building, or they violated local code or whatever, and so I have claims against them. And so it basically is like, the litigation process is where most of that enforcement actually happens, and so we are definitely really public policy focused as well.
Are the courts in Douglas County pretty open to that process, that approach?
Well, I mean, the courts wouldn't, we're engaging with the Douglas County Commission, so the courts are like somewhat separate in that regard. I mean, I will just say it was kind of like publicly noted they didn't necessarily have like an opposition to it, but they don't take like policy positions on things like that. But we're talking with the Douglas County administration and the county commissioners. On September 3rd of this year, we had a work session with them, and I presented to them what our kind of like vision of what a tenant right to counsel program would look like. There was an additional staff update on October 1st, and so those conversations are ongoing.
Yes.
So you're wanting to go from one staff to two. What does that do? I don't understand from the reading the
Yep.
thing. What does that do for you other than increase the number of hours that you have for somebody to do the current work you're doing?
Yeah, well, and that is the main thing, is increasing just the capacity of that. I mean, we've currently, as I mentioned, we got like, I think it was over 400. It was 473 that we've hit so far, but obviously, a majority of Florentians are renters, and we have like 90,000 plus people. So, just having that capacity increased would be really helpful. But also, I mean, we asked for 2 last cycle, and we got 1, and we've made it work. And so, and that was, I mean, as was noted in the application process, like there was the question of like, if we didn't give you the whole award, what would you do? Could you make it work with a partial award? And again, we said we could still make it work with 1. But I do think having another person would be really helpful in expanding that work and getting more of that education done.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have one more. Let's say we fund this, you're going to be here next year too, right?
I mean, not necessarily. As I said, we're having like early conversations with private funders, and that's the model that's typically used for these types of organizations. Like KC Tenants is only privately funded, and so we'd like to get there.
We began funding in April, is that right?
Yeah.
and you don't have a fundraiser yet, a person dedicated to raising money.
Well, I mean, we have the one staffer who's an educator. So,
Okay.
but, yeah.
We don't have much for results, right? You have $500 from somebody.
So far, but like I said, we had people attend a conference last weekend in which that funding was discussed with some funders.
That's 6 months in. 6 months in from funding.
Yeah.
You went to a conference.
Yeah, well, but keep in mind also before April, we didn't have a staff member at all. So we've kind of been like building things like as we've been going, and this is like
Thank you.
truly new.
Are there any additional questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
For your presentation, your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we were moving right along. Our next presentation will be on the topic of accessibility modifications and home repair. And so we will first hear from the Lawrence Habitat for Humanity.
Is it me?
It's you.
Is it me? It's me, and you're
Evening.
like the wizard behind the curtain.
I know, Kurt's amazing, isn't he?
I need you to go with me everywhere. I see it. Thank you. Okay, hi. I'm Stacy Schroeder with Lawrence Habitat for Humanity, and I'm here to talk to you all about our critical repair program. So just to get started, when I know Habitat, generally people think about us building houses.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Come on in, Donovan.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So when you think of Habitat, generally people think of our more traditional programming where we partner with families and we build a house from ground up. And that is definitely still what we do, but we recognized in 2019 that there was more that we could do and we could support more families if we added in a repair program to our work. And so we dived into repair work, basically looking at senior homeowners first. So we started an aging in place program where we focused on keeping seniors in their homes safely and independently. So that meant adding grab bars, maybe doing ramps, those kinds of things. And with that, we got so many calls and so many questions about just repairs, critical repairs for families, not just seniors. And so we knew that there was a huge need for that. In fact, in 2018, when we did the housing survey here, there were 500 houses identified in poor or fair condition. And through that survey, that was 2018, so I assume now that has drastically increased. And so this is definitely a way that we can help families. So we started critical repair, and then included also mobile home repair. So that is something that we offer through our missions work, is that we would love to build a house for everyone, but that's just not feasible. This is a way that we can help more families stay in their affordable house, making it habitable for them to stay there. So our repair program, like I just said, the critical repair program, we focus on those big systems, those big expensive things. When a family is a low-income family and they're, just barely able to afford their mortgage and all of their other daily expenses, and then you throw on a new roof for $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000, that's just, it's so damaging for a family, and they don't have the money. So they're either fixing the repair or trying to fix it and giving up something else. And so that's where we want to come in and make sure that those systems in their houses are up to date to keep them living in that house so they don't become homeless, so they don't have to move, so that they can continue to live in a place that they can afford. So we're doing those roofs, plumbing, heating, cooling systems, all of those things. On average, these repairs have continued to increase in cost, and the scope of work for these houses have increased. So we're seeing projects that when we once just did a ramp, now we're doing maybe a ramp and accessibility and making sure that they can get in and out of their bathrooms and doing all of those repairs. So those expenses are costing more, but with our request, we can foresee helping 15 to 16 families with some very crucial large repairs. I want to share just a few. I think it's great to bring some of the stories of how we've helped families this year. This is Johnny, and when he and his wife bought their house, they didn't expect that he would have a situation happened to him where he became wheelchair bound. And so they live in a split level house. And so you can imagine that that is not very easy for him to get around. When we first helped Johnny, we installed a wheelchair ramp, an exterior wheelchair ramp, which was great. It was able to get him out of the house and to his appointments, but it didn't fix the solution of him getting up or down in his house. So when you walk into his house, you can either go upstairs to the main living or downstairs to the garage and other spaces. We realized, like, we can build a wheelchair ramp, but when he goes back inside, he still can't get around in his house. And so we added a chair lift to his house, some accessibility support grab bars in his bathroom to help him, because he was relying on his wife and neighbors and friends to help him get around in his own living space. I had the opportunity to go meet Johnny not too long ago, and he tested out the chair lift for me. It's very quiet. It works very smooth. He was very excited to show me. And with literal tears in his eyes, he said, I am more independent and I can do things around my house that I never thought I'd be able to do again. So we kept him in his home, and we are keeping him there, and he has a secure and independent lifestyle now. Another family that we just recently helped with a repair, they live in a mobile home, and unfortunately were without a restroom for 4.5 months. The toilet actually fell through the floor of their mobile home, and they were using other means to take care of that issue because they didn't have the funding to replace that. We partnered with a community partner. The community partner covered the cost of the materials. We covered the labor. And for $2,800, they now have a floor and a working toilet in their bathroom, and they can continue. As you can see in the quote, it has been very challenging, and we changed their lives by making that for us, $2,800, very small cost to being able to stay in their home safely and securely. And then lastly, this ramp, I assure you, is not that crooked like this picture shows. I promise it's flat. We installed this for a young man. His name is Jason. He is a disabled adult living with his mom, Cecilia. And Jason uses a walker full-time, and they had a ramp at their house. Unfortunately, because of some missing guttering and some soffit, some water damage, that ramp was in disrepair. It was rotted, it was warped, and it was very unsafe for him to leave the home for appointments or to just be outside. And so we went in, and the thing that I really love about our repair program is that we look at the needs fully. So we didn't just replace the ramp. We repaired the soffit. We looked at what guttering needed to be done. We went inside and recognized that there was a very precarious set of stairs going to his upstairs that was not safe for him to use. So we also repaired that. So we want to look at, like, holistically. We don't want to have to come back every year to help. Let's just do everything that we can to make this safe for you right now. Let's not just do one little repair. Let's not put a Band-Aid on something. Let's fix it and make sure that you are safe in this house for many years to come. So we, Lawrence Habitat, we are so thankful to be a part of the A Place for Everyone plan. We know that affordable housing is the foundation for literally success in everything else in your life. If you don't have a safe, decent, affordable place to live, then everything else is affected. And so we know that by doing these repairs, we are contributing to that plan of making our community a safe place for everyone and a place where everyone has a place to call their own. And so that's really important for us. We also serve on committees and do things because we recognize that every level of this plan is important, and we want to do our part at every level. I included some waitlist projects, and I just did this because the need is so big. And so last year we were funded at $100,000. As you saw my request, it is much higher. It's $250,000 because for two reasons. One, our wait list is extremely long. We have over 70 families on our wait list right now waiting for projects to be done at their house. And you can see from this list, and I have more to share, we have such a long wait list of individuals that are waiting for something to just make their house safe so that they can stay living there, and it's something that they can afford. And then the other part of that is that just expenses for some of these repairs have increased. So when we did our proposal last year, we were thinking that an average repair was about $3,500. It was at the time when we were doing like a ramp or some accessibility things, but now when we're coming in and doing soffit repair and a roof and siding, that's now $20,000 instead of $3,500. So the average request is between $12,000 to $15,000, and so that's kind of where we're hoping to serve each family and be realistic in the fact that we know that it's going to be expensive to help families stay housed. So, I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for your presentation. Are there any questions from the board? Yes, Mark.
When you mentioned the example of the community partner,
Yeah.
is that a tenant? Is that one of your volunteers, or is that like you call subcontractors that have a nice heart, or the plumber finds somebody?
Yep.
Give me a sense. I think I figured that out. Give me a sense in that $2,800 repair that you paid for.
Yeah.
How much other was
The other.
gifted, given? You know, what was the whole project?
Of course. I won't know exact figures, but I can get those.
No, I don't want you
But
to.
community partners, so we try and partner with other agencies that are doing similar services. So you're probably going to hear from the Senior Resource Center, Independence, Inc. If there's a way that we can partner together and utilize our funds together to serve a family, that's what we're going to do. So that was a similar situation where they said, well, we have this much that we can contribute. We said we have this much we can contribute so that we could get the entire project covered. Our contractors, we do pay our contractors. We have a list of vetted contractors that we work with for these projects. Most of them, we pay what they would charge just the average person. Some of them give us a special rate, but for the most part, that contract piece, we're paying them their full, what they would have for a regular customer.
What I'm trying to get to, and maybe I'm getting in the weeds too deep, but so another nonprofit helped with that. So
Correct.
I'm putting it all together, but I'm not counting that. I'm trying to get a sense of how much generosity do you get from the tradespeople? Out of $100 you spend.
Sure.
And not all, I get it, you should pay people what they're worth and all
Yeah.
that, but I'm trying to understand, because I think it's there and it's hidden, and a lot of them don't want to be mentioned, all that good stuff. But there's an additional gift that's coming to this project somehow over time with all the tradesmen that you work with. Do you have a guess for me?
I don't.
Is it 10%? Yeah.
So it's very project-based.
Sure.
So maybe for every 4 projects we do for one contractor, the 5th one, they won't charge us labor or won't charge us materials. So I would say about 10% of our overall budget comes from in-kind gifts from contractors and materials and volunteer time as well.
Sure.
There are projects that we utilize volunteers on as well.
A hidden gift. Thank
Are
you.
you able to document that in a way that they can maybe take a tax deduction for?
If they
doing
weren't
that?
recognized for that, yes.
Yeah, I know from endowment standpoint, when we like tore down the McLean's building, these guys came in, they took every toilet, every grab bar,
Everything.
every fixture.
Everything they wanted.
Everything we
When we're doing something like that, we always call these guys or tenants or
Absolutely.
whoever else to come get whatever they can reuse.
And
That's great.
And to that
materials.
point, we've utilized, if something's donated to the Restore and it's a brand new grab bar, then if it will work for what that family needs, then absolutely we will repurpose as much as we possibly can. Yeah,
Thanks.
of course.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any additional questions from the board?
I have one.
Yeah.
You said you have put a 5-year lien on the property, is that correct? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do that,
quickly.
of course. We do that just so that, we know that the homeowner is going to stay in that home, that they're not just having the repairs made so that they can just turn around and put it on the market or sell it. So it keeps it affordable for that, those 5 years leading forward.
And if they move out before that?
Then we ask that they pay back for the
Out of
repairs
sale
that were.
proceeds or whatever?
Exactly.
Does it reduce over time? After 3 years, I don't owe you the 5,000, I owe you 2?
You know, I don't know if anyone has ever
Yes,
done
they
that.
would owe the balance on whatever it is at the time that they sell. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm so glad you came with me.
I have a follow-up question to that. Would Habitat be willing to consider extending that to 10 years, 15 years, to extend the period of affordability, essentially?
Yes, I think that we would be open for that conversation. Yeah, for sure. For many of our projects, our homeowners, most of them tend to be, or many of them tend to be senior homeowners that are, they're there for the long haul. They're not moving.
I had a question, unless there's others. I wanted to just kind of talk about the application again. So on the application under 14, it's under equal opportunity
Yeah.
to housing access. And so we asked you to please describe how all eligible populations will be provided equal opportunity to be served through this project. So knowing, this is a project that's open to all and prioritizing some, what data does your organization collect and publish to show the impacts of its efforts on housing access for different racial and ethnic groups and minoritized groups?
Yeah, for sure. So that's a great question, and I don't know if I fully have an answer for that. We collect that information, but our main priority is that we serve low-income families. So that's the number one piece that we focus on. After that, we're looking at how emergent is the project. So those are those two things that really motivate what projects are going to be selected. And then from there, that data is collected, but not necessarily something that we publicize or share.
Sure, thank you. And I took time. I apologize. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stacy.
All right, we're moving along here, and our next presentation will be under accessibility modifications and home repair again. This will be the Senior Resource Center for Douglas County.
I believe that Megan is online.
I'm online.
Hello, Megan.
Hi. Coming to you live from Lawrence High School volleyball game. I've stepped outside, so can everyone hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the third year that, well, let me say that a little bit differently. This is the third time that we've applied for funding for this opportunity. And the first time we were able to stretch the dollars over 2 years. So that's why this is the third time, not the third year. And over the course of this experience, we've learned some really interesting things about the senior homeowners that we're assisting. Really, it's that there are some very challenging circumstances that some of these seniors are experiencing for the safety and livability in their home. And listening to Stacy just now talk about some of these very expensive repairs, that's really what we're seeing more of than we expected to when we first started down this path. The first couple of years, it was really focused on HVACs. We kept getting requests for HVACs assistance. And when you're talking about older adults, there's kind of this stereotype that excessive heat and excessive cold is dangerous for older adults, and that's because it's true. That is a medical thing, and so we have been pleased that we could help. And as she said, we've been a partner with Habitat and with Tenants to Homeowners through our Helping Hammer program. We've helped to work with Independence Inc. as well, and divide and conquer on some of the needs that we've faced. This past year has been, it's just kind of interesting. Every year we've done this so far. This past year has been the year of plumbing. We've had a lot of older adults who have not had water, not had working toilets. And so that's really a health concern for folks. And so we The dollars have stretched a little further this year. We have not used our full 25,000 yet, and so that's great. We have turned one request away that just was excessive, and we encouraged them to work with us to identify some divided funding to get their repair resolved, and we put a lot of the onus on the homeowner to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to make the repair possible. And so we've had a couple of instances of folks that have reached out and just haven't followed through with their application and whatnot. So that's a little bit, I think, why we are where we are for this calendar year. It's a very simple program. I mean, we have older adults who contact us and they tell us that they can't afford to do this major repair. We do vetting on their situation. If it's a referral from one of our community partners, we talk with them about what they've seen at the home. We have such a great trusting relationship with all of those community partners to ensure that we're identifying projects that are safety related, that are intended to keep folks in their home safely, that are really focused on, often it's a lot of hygiene as well, as I mentioned. And sometimes it just comes down to the fact that we are a pass-through to help make sure that some of those specialists can get paid. So, for instance, electrician, HVAC, plumbing, not everybody can do that. And so sometimes it's hard to find a provider who will be able to complete that service. So we're very happy to continue doing this the most that we can and would love to continue into 2026.
Thank you. Are there any questions for
I don't have it.
Megan in the Senior Resource Center? I have a question.
Yeah.
So, let's see, in your clause, and this is, again, reading into your application, there are 6 to 10 homes that will be supported, is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Great. And so the funds are only available to those who will remain in the impacted home for no less than 12 continuous months. I think we had that conversation about leaving before, a certain time period, or if the applicant moves due to a faculty or health-related need. So I wanted to know what is the timeline for repayment in case someone did need to vacate earlier than the 12 consecutive months? And are there flexible payment options or installment plans available for applicants who face financial hardships in repayment?
Well, similarly, we haven't had anybody move out of their home for any reason in the 12 months post our project. And so should that happen, when we first started this, I spoke with Leah about what does that look like? How do we actually do that? That would be a very new thing to us. And so the fact that we haven't had to do it, it's untested. I think that my intent as the organizational director is to work with the homeowner to figure it out. Because these would be situations where they were moving out because they were no longer able to live in their home at all. Not because they want to move out, but because they're moving into assisted living or whatnot. In most situations, that means the home is going to be sold. So I think that the intent we would follow is to work with either work with the homeowner to be part of the negotiation and the selling of the home if that was what we needed to do, or they're honestly, my expectation is that the first time we encounter this is because someone passes away before their 12 months is over, in which case we've kind of talked about that's a different scenario. So we haven't encountered it. So I really can't answer what it's like.
Sure.
Would we work with somebody? Yes. We would want to make it as feasible and unpainful as possible. Absolutely. So.
Thank you, Megan. Okay. Are there any additional questions? Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Moving on, the next presentation comes from Independence, Inc.
I saw my presentation on the screen.
Yes, we are working on accessibility modifications and home repair application presentations
Sylvia.
currently.
You don't want me to talk about that.
Daniel, do you want to? Oh, okay, cool. You got it.
I think I can share my screen. Okay, can you all see that? Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Brown. I'm the Core Services Manager at Tenants Incorporated, and I oversee our accessible housing program, which I'm here to talk to you about today. So just a quick overview of the program. So our accessible housing program provides assistance to seniors, other folks with disabilities for a low to moderate income. That's up to the 80% AMI, make needed accessibility modifications to their home. The outcome of each project is to ensure that there is safe access into the home, at least one accessible entrance, and also throughout the vital areas of the home, which is typically from that accessible entrance to an accessible bathroom or a place to sleep, laundry facilities, things like that. Our program is open to both renters and homeowners. For all projects, we utilize a qualified contractor that has a lot of experience doing accessibility modifications. The current program as it exists right now has been in existence for about the past 5 years. And our goal is to hopefully serve 15 households with the funds that we're requesting. So why is a program like this needed? So according to the 2018 Lawrence Housing Market Report, there is not enough affordable and accessible housing in the area. Also, according to that report, the senior population is expected to increase, which is just going to increase the demand for accessible housing. Also, many affordable housing options in our area tend to be some of the least accessible. It's particularly true of older single-family homes, older apartment complexes, and trailer homes. And then home modifications can be difficult to afford for folks, and there's not a whole lot of resources that folks can access to assist with those. And sometimes those resources have wait lists. We feel that our program aligns with the city's affordable housing goals according to A Place for Everybody. The goal is to create a system where residents have access to the fundamental human right of safe, accessible, attainable, and affordable housing. So our program, we feel, is unique in that it exclusively focuses on that accessibility piece. We also feel that our program furthers affordable housing goals by assisting folks maintain access to safe and affordable housing, and also increasing the amount of accessible housing stock available for folks that are renters or homeowners. We're also committed to working with community partners, many of whom have already spoken today, and also the city on ways to increase the amount of accessible housing in the area, whether that is working with other service providers that do home modifications or repairs, or doing community education around accessibility and housing, things like that. Some examples. So just kind of the nuts and bolts of how our program works. We do screen folks for eligibility. We do require proof of income. We require that there be a disability-related need for the modification that they're requesting. Once we've screened an applicant as eligible, they get put on our project list. When they come up to the top of the project list, I go out to their home. I meet with them. We have an in-depth discussion on what kinds of accessibility needs they have, what our program can and cannot do to help them. And at that point, I pretty much handle everything. I create the bid specs, I communicate with the contractor, I pay the contractor. Really, the only thing the client has to do is let the contractor in to provide a bid and to also do the work. After the work's complete, I come out to do a final inspection to make sure the client's happy. We pay the contractor. So these are just some examples of projects we've done in the past. So here's an example of a relatively small ramp for us. Here's a much larger kind of switchback style ramp that we did on a home with quite a few steps in the front entrance. We'll also do ramp replacements. So a lot of times we encounter folks that have tried to make a ramp on their own with what materials they had on hand. So we'll replace it with a safe ramp. Here's another example of a ramp that was far too steep. It was actually rotting away too, so it wasn't very safe to use. So we replaced it with a safe ramp. Low-rise steps. So this is where we would take, steps that have high rise and make them lower rise, so a lot easier for somebody with a disability to walk up and down them. Safer. Accessible showers, kind of self-explanatory. With the accessible showers, we're typically installing grab bars as well. We install the grab bars wherever the client wants them. And then we also install an accessible shower head, like the detachable shower head, so people can shower seated from a seated position. Another example of an accessible shower that we did. This was a little bit more challenging because there was a window in the middle of the shower, which we had to work around. Sometimes folks are able to get in and out of a tub. They just need the grab bars and the accessible shower head, so we'll do just those for some folks. We've done accessible sinks. So an accessible sink like this that's wall mounted provides easier access for a wheelchair. We do ADA height toilets. That's actually a relatively common request that we get. They're easier to transfer on and off of. And then we'll widen doorways for wheelchair or other mobility device access. This is particularly true for like older homes. The entryway to the bathroom is sometimes kind of narrow. Over the course of our program being in existence over the past 5 years or so, we've completed 45 projects. So this is a map of all the projects we've completed all over the city. So as you can see, they are relatively widely dispersed throughout the city. Grab bars, accessible showers, ramps are the most commonly requested modification. We're primarily serving households that are 30% or under AMI. So we'll serve up to 80%. We're primarily serving lower income folks at 30% or so. Average is 36. Median age served was 63. So we primarily serve seniors, but we don't have any kind of age restriction. We'll serve anybody of any age. And we're primarily serving owner-occupied single-family homes. That's just the most requests are coming from those.
Interesting.
So a little bit of information on just this past year. So we've completed 8 projects so far for 2025. We currently have a project in progress. We have 6 projects screened as eligible and are on our project list right now. Accessible showers have been the most requested modification. Some years we seem to serve more homeowners than renters. This year it's been relatively evenly split between the two of them. We're still serving pretty low income, 32% AMI is the average, 36 to 77 years of age. And then all but 2 projects have had a female head of household, and that's pretty common. Most of our projects have female head of households. And then this is just, so once a project's complete, we send out a consumer satisfaction survey. These are taken directly from consumer satisfaction surveys that we've sent out for folks after the project's complete. I'm not going to read these to you, but one common theme we consistently see from our satisfaction surveys is folks talk about safety, that they feel so much safer in their home after having the modification. And the only one I'll draw your attention to is the very bottom one. So I was able to take a shower. The water felt wonderful running over my skin. That was from an individual who was a senior living at home by themselves in a single family home they'd owned for a very long time. And they had stopped taking showers regularly because they didn't feel safe doing so. After we came in and installed an accessible shower, they were able to take showers on a regular basis again, greatly improved their quality of life. They were very pleased. And then just in closing, so we do feel like our programs establish some pretty good referral partnerships with other community providers, and also folks that serve seniors and serve folks with disabilities to get referrals for our program. We feel our program addresses a need that few other programs like directly address accessibility exclusively. And we feel like we've been successful in allowing program participants to maintain safe and affordable housing. And we hope to be able to continue making this program a success with any funding we are awarded. So thank you. That's all that I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Are there any questions from the board? Yes, Mark.
One of that stoop you replaced was sitting over an old concrete stoop. Did you actually remove the old one or just work over it?
I believe the contractor built that over the top of it.
Okay.
He may have had to shave down some of the concrete to get it.
I get it. That might get you in where you didn't want to be by doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sure.
So when you work with landlords with rental properties, can you describe the process of working with a landlord? Do you have agreements with them? Are they involved in the recapture provision? Are there issues around reversal of modifications when somebody moves out, those kind of things?
Yeah, great question. So on our application, there is an actual landlord has to give permission. So they're signing the form, and then they're indicating on the form whether they want any kind of modifications reported back. We've never had an issue prior with a landlord requesting it to be reverted. Most just leave it, which is great for future tenants. And most landlords agree to the modification right out, particularly because they know that we're paying for it, so they don't have to, it's not costing them any funding. So usually it's okay. Occasionally, and it seems like it's been with kind of like mobile home parks, sometimes those are owned by property management companies that aren't local, so they have kind of a larger complex process you have to go through where you have to make an official accommodation request based on disability. Sometimes we have to submit medical documentation saying the person actually needs a ramp because they want to see that, they want proof of it. Sometimes we have to upload it to a website, fill out this special form requesting the accommodation. Wait a few weeks to get permission then from the local property manager. So sometimes it's a process, but we walk through the process with folks. So if people need help doing that, then we'll do that. And sometimes I'll just go down to a landlord's office and just meet with them and answer questions that they have about the program. Sometimes if you can just show a landlord, like here's some pictures of some projects we've done before, they just want to know that you're going to do good quality work with a qualified, contractor. So it's not been much of an issue.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions? I have one. Daniel, in the years I've served on this board, there's been monies that you've asked for, and it's always supported. This is a great way to make sure that we're reaching the intersection of those needing support services for continual stay in their homes. I'm curious about the demographics now of like the homeowners, renters. In the past, what I've heard is that we have a big collection and the monies and the supports are used to provide services to those in mobile home units and other rental units. Have you seen any change in the data that represents home ownership? I know you did talk briefly about it, but could you describe a little bit more detail in the last maybe 4 years if you've seen a need for there to be some supports in homes and homeowners in a home versus a mobile home? Is there a difference in the number of requests that you received in the last few years?
Yes, I think when our program first started, we were doing a lot of ramps for mobile homes. And we still do those, but we're seeing more single-family homes that aren't mobile homes that we're getting more requests for. And those are usually accessible showers. And I think it was just part of that was just because we were known as kind of like a ramp program. People knew you could call us and we would help with a ramp. But when people realized we would do other projects like accessible showers, there turned out to be a real need for that. And typically those have come from like single-family homes, single-family homeowners. So yeah, it seems like over the years it shifted more towards single-family homes that aren't mobile homes as opposed to mobile homes. We're doing less mobile homes than we used to.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Sure.
Are there any additional questions on the board? Excellent. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
And so we will move on, and our next presentation will come from the Housing Stabilization. Where am I? Housing Stabilization Applicant.
Yeah, I'm not the
and
only
that
one. I
is-
got confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's the Douglas County Application for Housing Stabilization Collaborative.
I didn't get my presentation in time, so I'm gonna have to. Some of the stuff was really, so just pass those.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Kristen Egan. I work for Douglas County, and I oversee the Housing Stabilization Collaborative for about the last 5 months, I would say. So I am here to talk to you guys about the HSC.
Kristen?
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. You should be able to pull your presentation up on the computer if you'd
Oh,
like.
I don't, yes, I'll,
Oh, you okay, sorry.
I don't know how to do it, Leah. Got it, oops. Got it.
That's it? Okay, hold on, I'm gonna do a thing on Zoom and then you're all set.
Thank you. You didn't want me to wing it. Okay, let me try to make that full screen. Yeah? Or is it okay how it is?
Yeah, hit the from beginning, you're on the right, yeah. Real close.
This?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. There we go, perfect, thanks guys. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you guys about the HSC, which is rent and utility assistance for folks that are lower income, that maybe ran into a financial crisis and need some support to bridge them so that they don't become evicted. We do that through a lottery process where folks apply and we run the lottery once per month. And if you are a Douglas County resident, you're under 60% of AMI, and you either have an eviction notice or a disconnected utility, you may qualify. So those folks can apply through our website, and then the ones that are selected randomly through the lottery, they go to a processing agency like Ballard Center, Centro Hispano, Willow, Senior Resource Center, and they help process those applications to fund the need to keep you stably housed. The good thing about having those processing agencies is if the client down the road runs into another financial crisis, although they would not qualify for the HSC again for a full year, they would have a supportive service that they know and that they may trust, and they can contact them for maybe some additional supports. Some things I want to highlight on this first slide. According to the Douglas County Tenant Survey, almost half of renters in Douglas County experience housing insecurity, meaning they are one emergency away from homelessness. That can be confusing sometimes because it feels like if you're in affordable housing, maybe you should be able to miss a paycheck and still stay on track. It's important to remember the context that wages nationwide, this isn't a Lawrence thing, do not keep up with housing costs, so people are not able to save money. People don't have a safety net on their own unless they are lucky enough to have family or friends that could support them. So like I think I said, anybody that's a Douglas County resident with an eviction notice or disconnected utilities and falls under that 60% AMI could qualify. Due to limited funding and high need, only about 15% of those that apply are funded, and that actually went down this year. And historically, HSC has received funding through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Douglas County, and earlier COVID grants when things were really pumping. So think of this as a safety net for people that are already living in affordable housing. I might have gotten a little bit crazy with the graphics, you guys, so like it's okay. So this.
Do you want us to agree with you? I'm kidding.
Sure. That's why I gave it to you. Go home and read it. So this first graph talks about the total requests in yellow for 2004 and 2005, and then the amount of applicants that we were able to actually fund. So you can see there's a gap in the need there. The next one is talking about the difference in, it's the average request. So in 2004, the average request for rent was about 1,000. The average request for utilities was about 360. That has gone up in 2025, way up really on the rent. The average request now is over 1,500 and over 500 for utilities. This one, I don't love these graphics, so I'm gonna look at this one in the top right corner, which is the county share versus the city share. So you can see that last year we had 60% of our funding through the city, and now that's dropped to 28%. That's just changes in funding. It's nothing to be, I guess, worried about, but that's just who's funding it in the last 2 years. And then I wanted to talk about, and I'll talk about this hopefully as I go forward, how the HSC directly reflects the goals of A Place for Everyone and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Both of those plans or entities are trying to target 80% AMI and lower. Our program targets 60% and lower. And then you can see, I really like this one. You can see that the blue lines for 24 and then 25, those are the average income that people report to us that are applying, and then the average request. So you can see the request and the income, monthly income, is about the same. I think that's a good example of how hard it would be to recover from these financial crises, because it's a whole month of income that they need to get back on their feet. So it's really a safety net for when they fall into a financial crisis that would just be really, really hard to crawl out of without any assistance. We do follow-up calls, so the processing agencies give follow-up calls 1 month, 6 month, and a year after. These are 6-month calls, and as you can imagine, a lot of the calls go unanswered. I don't answer a number, I don't know either. But you can see here the green part is how many folks were still housed. The little red part is how many people were not housed. And the gray part, we don't know. So we think it's helping quite a bit, but with the gray part, the non-answers, we don't have perfect data on that one. But it's important to note that this is reducing the inflow into homelessness. And a large part of the plan, A Place for Everyone, is focusing on getting to functional zero. And you guys are probably familiar with functional zero, but in short, it means that less people are falling into homelessness than we are housing. So to get to functional zero and to stay at functional zero, we have to stop the inflow into homelessness, and this program is one way that we can do that. Another thing that I think this program does that aligns with some goals in A Place for Everyone is landlord engagement. So it does build positive relationships with landlords. I have lots of landlords that are very happy to work with the program and are very happy. Honestly, most landlords they're not getting pleasure out of unhousing people. They're happy this program exists. In 2004, we worked with 227 unique landlords. And so far this year, we've worked with 136. So that's building landlord relationships that can help other folks that are trying to help hard-to-house people, because it builds more trust in community programs. Okay. I'm going to talk about in the next slides the demographics, but I want you guys to keep in mind that A Place for Everyone is trying to target these populations that have face systemic barriers that make them overrepresented in the housing instability community. I don't say that right, but you know what I mean. So this breaks it down by race, and it's 2024 in the blue, it's 2025 in the green. Obviously, there are more white people that are applying because we're in a largely white area. But if you look at the next highest demographic is people that are Black, and they are wildly overrepresented in their need for support, which is showing that systemic issue in housing where folks of color are struggling more than others. Okay. Disability status, I believe it is 1 in 4 applicants that has a disability. Generally, people that have disabilities are living on disability income. That's not enough to live on. So almost all of those people, unless they're partnered up, are living in income-based units. There's no other way for them to afford rent than if they find an income-based unit. So these folks are already in affordable housing, but they still can find themselves in a crisis, and that's where the HSC can step in. This breaks it down by household type. Again, blue is 24, green is 25. You can see that big bar on both of them is single parents. Single, no kids is the second one, so it's just really hard to survive on a single income. And then we have female head of household. So that larger bar, that's all of the selected applicants for each year. So that's just to compare it to. So the middle, I guess teal, in 24, 46% of the awarded folks were single female heads of household, and 28% were people of color female head of households. And I know these numbers are lower for the next year in 25. We're only three-fourths of the way through the year, but same trends. Female head of households are overrepresented, and female heads of households who are BIPOC are overrepresented. So this really is targeting some of the populations that we set out to help in A Place for Everyone. Gender identity, again, this kind of says the same thing. Females are applying and needing assistance much more than the households that are headed by men. I have this broken down into zip code here on the bar graphs. I know that's probably hard to read, but you can see 66044 and 66046 were the top applicants both years. Those were also the two zip codes that were expressing the most housing vulnerability in the tenant survey. So it aligns with what that tenant survey said. And then the pretty circle graphs are just blue is 24, green is 25, and this is the city of Lawrence is representing that large chunk, and then the other towns, Lecompton, Eudora, and Baldwin are the smaller little chunks. Which, of course, the city of Lawrence makes up the most population in Douglas County, so that makes sense. Also the most renters. You guys may be familiar with this because I sent this earlier. This is broken down by, and this goes back to 2023, and this is just Affordable Housing Trust Fund money. So you can see that in the bar graph that most of that money you guys have provided is going to rent. That's the blue part. The little green part is City of Lawrence or water bills. And then the teal part is other utilities, so like Evergy or Black Hills. And we do expect, I know it seems like there's a lot of money left, but we do expect to very easily be able to use the remainder of what Affordable Housing Trust Fund has given us by the end of the year. And so in summary, we're stabilizing households below 80%. I put 80% because that's y'all's goal, but ours are 60%. Preserving existing affordable housing units, and what I mean by that is we're keeping people in their affordable housing units so that stock remains used, right? When people get evicted, it can go 1 or 2 or 3 months without that unit being used, kind of decreasing the stock. It's reducing inflow into homelessness, which is a major goal for A Place for Everyone, promoting equity and accountability between tenants and landlords, and creating a sustainable bridge between emergency support and long-term housing solutions. I really like this last one, so I'm just gonna read it to you. While the Affordable Housing Trust Fund builds and invests in affordability, providing support to the HSC acts as a leg of that progress, ensuring that affordability lasts, keeping families in their affordable homes, and their community on track towards functional zero. And that's my whole presentation, so I'll take questions.
Thank you very much.
Oh God, I talked forever.
We don't have very much time for questions, but are there questions that we have on the board?
I have a quick one.
Yes.
If I did the math on some of these charts, and I can't keep up with you, but we are trending lower, are we not, in 25?
Because funding is lower. We've awarded less because we have less. So what we do is each month we see what we've spent, and then we see how many we can award the next month.
But applications year-to-date are 2,100. Last year they're at 4,200. And if you trend that.
Oh, yeah. So if we added like the last quarter or whatever, it would be closer. But part of that, I think, is because funding has been deteriorating. The rules changed right before I took over, where you're only allowed to basically be in the lottery system if you have an eviction notice or a disconnect notice. So if you don't have those, you're less likely to apply. So it kind of implies that there's less need, but it's, people just aren't applying because they don't qualify.
So you're dealing with the most critical
Yeah.
financial issues
That was the decision.
as opposed to everybody who's got a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Didn't mean to take that.
No, you got 40 seconds if you want another one.
I have one.
Okay.
So you said, and maybe you just misstated, you said your dollars seem to be targeting BIPOC. How do you target if you are doing a lottery? You're just saying
we don't
proportionally
target.
it ends
Yeah,
up being that way.
It does.
So you're not targeting, but it just.
Correct.
Because of the
Because
proportions
they're
and the higher
applying, yep.
need, they get more, okay.
Exactly.
Okay, just want to clarify.
Yeah.
And time, perfect. Thank you.
Nailed it.
That was excellent.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you.
I saw that too. I was wondering the same
Yeah.
thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think she heard me. All right, we'll get the names right, I promise. So next presentation, thank you very much for hanging in here with us. We have Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority.
Good evening. My name is Galal Obaid. I'm the VP of Program Operations at the Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority. And the first project I'm talking to you about is the New Horizons program. It is a transitional voucher program. This program serves families that are experiencing homelessness or at imminent risk of homelessness for 24 months. So offers rental assistance for 24 months. This program was created in 2016 at the request of the city and Douglas County and has been funded by the city and the county since. This program has since then housed 55 households, nearly 200 individuals. We are seeking $75,000 to continue this program. We'd like to continue to serve the same number of families every year via this program. So on average, we offer 6 to 7 households a year off of this wait list. I hate to say that since I submitted the application 6 weeks ago, the wait list has gone up from 18 to 25 households. So that's 25 families on the street. So this program is very successful alongside our other transitional voucher programs. So 85% of our families transition to permanent voucher. So that's the contribution LDCHA is making in addition to the operating the program, is that we give them a permanent voucher after their 24 months. This program would not be as successful if we didn't have the case management, the partners that we have. So it's a testament to Willow, it's a testament to Family Promise, Independence, Inc., Catholic Charities, Heartland, a bunch of other community members. We are asking for the $75,000 because costs have increased. Traditionally, we've asked for $50,000. So to continue to serve 6 to 7 families, we are asking for $75,000. Last month, the county approved the $75,000 on their end. Let's see. We serve lowest income families. I mean, the housing authority, over 70% are 30% below AMI. This program is actually higher, so over 94% of families are below 30% AMI. 37% of families that are active on the program currently are BIPOC. Over the course of the last 9 years, it has averaged between 34 to 39% BIPOC. Like I said, very low income. Our average income is currently $12,000, a little over $12,000. And with that, I'll take any questions you have.
Thank you, Galal.
Of course.
Are there questions from the board?
I just say this has been a great program, and thank you for your work.
No, we appreciate the support. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll go again. I've been on this board for a couple of years, and I see the exploration of the applications, and yours included a line that I love. The trauma-informed housing services. You listed a number of trauma-integrated practices, including beauty and joy, offering families an opportunity to heal in a home with support from caring community partners. That is really a really good insert to hear in trauma-informed care and the outreach as it includes housing stability. So, yeah, I appreciate that. You also, in the bullets, have listed how you will meet community housing needs in a strong alignment with AHAB goals. So you've taken our goals and made sure that you applied them in practice. So I appreciate that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, this program was born to limit the time on the street for families and kids. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Happy to do it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, seeing no additional comments from the board and on the line, thank you very much for your time and your presentation.
Who's up next?
Okay. No one's up next in the space of housing stabilization applications, but we have new development and rehab. Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority. I'm just reading through the agenda like I don't know what's going on.
Makes it easier.
It makes it very professional sounding.
No. So the Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority is approaching the AHAB to request $180,000 to build 2 efficiency homes in partnership with Peasley Tech. These 2 units would be, studios, would fall under permanent affordable housing. So we had originally submitted the application for them to be placed on 800 Garfield Road. That we've done some more investigation on that. We wanted it to be on that property because we own it outright as the housing authority without any qualifications from HUD. But because it lies on a floodplain, it would cost there are a lot of extensive concerns there. So we've altered the application to move it to either 2005 Leonard or 234 Alabama Street. These are 2 properties that are also owned by LDCHA, but they do have a declaration of trust by HUD, which just means that we need to get permission from HUD to develop on these properties. This is something we've done before, so we don't anticipate any kind of issues in getting that approval. So in collaboration with Peasley Tech, we would build these homes. They would be added to our stock of public housing units. We currently have a little over 400 units that we operate and maintain. And with that, I'll take questions.
Yes. Are there any questions from the board? Yes, Mark.
I do. Peasley Tech has several tiny houses sitting out there in their backyard, I call it. Are they just going to pick one up and deliver it to you? Is it already made?
No. So this actually project is Peasley Tech got a grant to build these efficiency homes, and
Okay.
part of it is to do education. They're making this grant a revolving grant, so for every $90,000, they're going to be able to build a home. So they got the grant for $90,000. We give them $180,000. They're able to take that money, turn it into 2 homes. They still have $90,000, and they are allowed to continuously build these homes and give them out to tenants to homeowners. It has a fee on 15th Street, and we're trying to capitalize on some of that work too.
So real quickly, how big are they?
240 square feet.
I thought they were really tiny.
Right.
And you're putting them on sites that you currently have housing on,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So you got access all figured out and all that?
Correct. So the lots are large enough for us to either place the 2 homes on one lot, or at least we can put one on each. So we're willing to work with the city of Lawrence to determine which would be better. But that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
At 240 square feet, what,
Don't do the math.
I think I know the answer, but what about accessibility?
So this would not be an answer to accessibility, although these homes would be built in a manner that allows for the most amount of comfort that you can get out of 240 square feet. We recognize that as small. Over 186 people on our wait list are waiting for a 1-bedroom or studio. So I think when it comes to need, when it comes to having an immediate access to housing, that this is a solution, and we've seen it successful with tenants to homeowners. So while small, it is housing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I have one more. You say that you're putting in 90 and it's a 2/3 match, so the other third is, what, $45,000? What is that?
So we're putting 90 per unit to Peasley Tech.
Okay.
So 180 would fund the two units, right? And then what we're offering as the housing authority is the land, the value of the land, and then administration of the program of the project.
Okay, so you're kind of putting ground in there, which we could discuss whether that's reasonable value, but let's don't. What about sewer hookup and all that? Who's doing that?
It would already be tied into the property that is.
Good luck with this city. Okay.
So I looked that up a little bit, and it's not more of a question, maybe an overview or a note that you can confirm about the 240 square feet. So the average annual repair and maintenance cost for a 240 square feet tiny home ranges from $480 to $1,920. So the cost of repair is rather low for these buildings, but they are calculated as like $1 per square foot annually. Is that about right for the cost of repair for these homes? And what does the repair look like when you're working with PZ Tech? Do they come in and repair any maintenance? They also do upkeep?
Yeah.
So that's not even a question. I turned that into something totally different. Maybe the answer would be, is it $1 per square foot annually for cost of repair for these homes? Is that about a good guesstimate?
I can't honestly speak to that, like with reason or logic behind it, but I can say that because these units will fall under our public housing stock, maintenance would be covered by the housing authority. So
Okay.
we have a maintenance team that would
So
handle
as
all
far
that. It's
as
all in-house.
operating losses,
Correct.
assuming there may be some,
So
the housing authority will be absorbing some of that cost as part of your.
correct, and because it'll fall under that public housing fund, we get funding from HUD in order to maintain these units as well. So we would continue to get. So if they're approved to be public housing so for our public housing properties, we receive subsidy to maintain the property itself. So if we're able to get them to fall under this public housing, we could possibly get operations support to maintain the units.
In exchange for which you invite HUD in to do inspections and look at your records.
The city does the inspections for our properties, yes.
So just maybe too technical, you may not know, but would they essentially be like an ADU on the same lot if they're building on a lot?
Yes.
So you're getting an ADU.
Correct.
Double density bonus.
Correct.
Okay. And then I assume that if there are overages on the construction, you guys are going to cover that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a preference, or are you leaning more towards one site now that it's dedicated to sites that are more preferable for these units to be placed upon?
There's no set preference. I think we would prefer to have them on one of the sites, but we've named 2 opportunities in case that they end up having to have one on each.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else has been to the VA project over in Kansas City, but it's very similar in size, about 250 square feet. Surprisingly roomy.
Yeah.
Inside, not unlike a studio apartment at all.
It's built into
Very
the
little.
design, the built-in
They're very
features of it all, and ensure that there's some kind of flexibility within the unit itself.
Like a suite on a cruise.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I don't see any additional questions online, and if there are none from the board members here, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the new development and rehab presentations. We have Cohen-Esrey Development Group.
Hello.
Good evening.
So is it 711 New Hampshire?
That is correct.
All right, hang on. Okay, now you're doing the power.
Thank you. So my name is Jack Britton. I'm the Development Director for Cohen-Esrey Development Group. And this is our proposal for financing on 711 New Hampshire, aptly named after the address. A bit about our company. We are headquartered in Merriam, Kansas. We've been around since about 1994, and we've developed primarily affordable housing across the United States, totaling almost over 8,000 units of affordable housing. We approach our development a little bit differently than some developers. That we always approach our every development with this slogan, which is how can we create a thriving community that changes people's lives for the better, which we feel that this development will. So a bit about the site. This might be, for some board members, I've maybe a familiar face. We presented last year. And we selected the site in response to an RFP the City of Lawrence pursued in late 23, early 24. We then proceeded with a light tech application to KHRC. We were unsuccessful in the financing at that point. We went back to the drawing board, met with the city, and now we're back. Just a little bit more about where this site is, just to get some clarity. It's at 711 New Hampshire, right across from the I guess old borders, to date myself a little bit, or just south of Java Break. It is technically the lot 2 of the parking plan in the City of Lawrence. And then here's just another angle for context and our proposal here as well. So a bit about our building. So we engaged a local group, or a Kansas City group called Slattery Design and Architecture, to help design this. The site is very small. It's about 0.71 acres. So our approach to the site had to be pretty condensed. So we really try to approach it with 3 primary goals, and that is maximize affordability, activate the streetscape along New Hampshire, and then create a transit-oriented development due to the walkability and the access to transit around it. Our proposal includes 94 units between studio 1s and 2s, with primarily 1 bedrooms being the primary unit type. All of our units are going to be affordable, between 30% and 80% AMI. This table does a good job of highlighting that, with a predominant amount of AMIs, around 50 to 60% AMI. And obviously, the rents today would range between $475 and $1,500, depending on unit type. As I kind of mentioned, the previous iteration, we financed this with the 4% light tech credits, both federal and state credits, which is sunsetting this year through the state of Kansas. We've submitted our application earlier this year, submitted the application here, and now we're working towards closing. So this is kind of a high-level sources here. It is a $30 million development, financed primarily with the federal and state light tech credits. Timeline construction. So we've submitted all our applications. We're awaiting funding, which we'll hear back in November. Once we hear from the funding, once we're awarded, we will start the design process, which we worked with Slattery on this, who has an extensive stakeholder engagement and neighborhood meeting process. We understand that this site is sensitive in terms of being in the downtown context, and we're sensitive to that. Our goal would be to get into the ground hopefully this time next year, if awarded, but that's a long road ahead. So one thing that, there's been a few applications tonight about senior housing, but I just wanted to draw a little bit on senior housing, why we selected it. One thing that we see in a lot of communities, when we build affordable housing, there's a downstream effect on other housing types, whether people are aging out of their homes or looking to downsize. So it doesn't primarily only affect seniors. There's a downstream effect for families and others. So it kind of frees up housing stock. We also feel this location is prime for seniors. It's walkable, access to transit right down the street. So if you're mobility impaired, you can get bus service and walkability. And also, we reacted to the demographics of the area. I think it was said previously, but the aging demographic in Lawrence is growing, and it's growing rapidly, not through just aging in the city, but people moving to Lawrence. You've seen a lot of seniors. So we drew that as this needs to be a senior site. That was really quick. But yes, 94 units. We are requesting $1 million. Yeah, that's our.
Okay. Well, thank you. Jack, are there questions from the board? Yes, Mark.
Dumb question. No parking, right?
So we do have parking. I should have touched on that a little bit more. So if we go back to the building plan, we will have a basement parking included.
What's your count?
So we have, make sure I pull this up right, 107 parking spots total. So the first floor, yeah, so we park 1.13 per unit. And we've been really working close with the parking director here at the City of Lawrence because we've heard of concerns about removing parking, and we want to be cognizant of that and be a good neighbor to a lot of these surrounding businesses.
You're probably replacing less parking than that, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So you're really just parking your apartment complex.
Right. Taking care of their.
24 beds in the building.
I get it. But it's some parking.
Yeah.
My next question has to do with, I think I asked you last year, in your estimates, we've seen other, excuse me, other estimates on other projects. They've got a value in for the land. I assume there is no cost for the land.
So that is correct. We're not assuming any cost for the land.
Okay.
And you're at $315,000 per door?
It is a very difficult site. It's very constrained, and typically with affordable housing complexes, we don't typically build down this far for parking concerns, but obviously given the site, we needed to park to that 1-to-1, at least to the unit count. And then I know parking's going to come up a lot in this discussion. We are still working really closely with the parking director on some public parking replacement, some angled-in parking. All those conversations are ongoing. So
you have 94 senior units on 6 floors. Am I correct that I'm only seeing one elevator?
that's correct. So we have one elevator in the main lobby area, which is on the north side of the site, which is kind of where folks will come in from the basement or the first floor. So there's not going to be any access to the building outside that part on the north. On the far left of your screen, you can see this is the first floor. So there's really no access to it outside of that one elevator.
Is it a big, fast elevator?
It's a very big, fast elevator.
You got 94 houses going up and down.
No, I understand that concern, but we had to be a little bit mindful on cost given the constraints of the site.
Go ahead. I got
So I saw, 5% of the units are accessible. That's 5 units in this building, and it's a senior facility. To me, that doesn't add up. I'm trying to be critical. It doesn't add up quite. If you're serving seniors and you only have 5% accessible.
Yeah, so there's some nuance to that. So all the units are going to be visitable, which is kind of a level down from accessible. The 5% is...
Say that word again.
Visitable.
Got it.
Visitable. So there's some larger egress and ingress kind of stuff. I definitely hear your concern. We are, in the application materials, we're just meeting the requirement as of now, but it's definitely something that we do. We've done senior housing in a lot of communities, and obviously that's something we hear a lot about, so.
I want to talk.
So can that number come up if requested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All of the units would meet fair housing, though.
that's correct, yes.
Accessibility standards.
So the funding sources that we're going after through KHRC have a higher than standard design guidelines that we have to meet in addition to the basic standards, which I can have our architect speak closer to that, but I know that we're meeting a lot of those.
So my question has to do with the November approvals you're waiting for. How many and who are they?
So November deadline is KHRC. So there's a few other developers in this application round who will be kind of awaiting that timeline. That timeline specifically, the 4% state LIHTC
Right.
award announcement.
And that's evaporating, right? That program looks like it's,
Unfortunately, yes.
I agree. And that's it? That's the only approval you need other than, I mean, are we really the last million? Everything else is locked and solid?
Well, with your yes. No, yes and no. So we still have a long development process. We work with a suite of investors who will use these tax credits. So obviously we got to bring other people into the fold. In terms of public subsidy, this is the last stop.
But all the private stuff follows, right? And
Yes,
you
that's
don't have all that locked. You might have buyers for the credits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But-
On the private side, we're ready to go.
Okay.
So with $1 million gap that you're looking to us to fill with a total of, what, 1.2 million available, can you explain why you didn't ask for some of those resources from KHRC? Whether home funds, housing trust fund?
Yeah, for sure. So we understand that our request is larger than a lot of the other applicants. I would obviously argue that our site is special in that regard. But KHRC is really mindful, or really tries to get developers to work with local governments to kind of, I don't want to say pitch in, but it's really a community-based development process where you're awarded some points or some other, if we can get some subsidy from our local partners, which is why a lot of developers look in Lawrence, because this housing board is really important to a lot of that gap filling. And we did try to be mindful with the request. I know it seems large, but we tried not to over request that.
It looked like you had on the LIHTC application, you had a debt service coverage ratio of running from 1.15 to 1.3, which is, I mean, those are good enough numbers. That includes this 1 million, right? To hit those numbers.
Yes, I believe so. Yes, I could.
Debt down lower.
Yeah, so
To do that.
to your point, we are maximizing all of our other private sources. So 1.15 is kind of as low as we can go to leverage as much sources. So we don't have a 3 debt coverage ratio and asking you for money. So we're trying to take some of that risk.
I have a question, if you don't mind. It might be a lengthy one, so I'm going to start at the 2-minute mark.
Okay.
So under the population served in the application, I'm always going to reflect back to your words, back to the applicants. You wrote this project is primarily focused on serving senior residents with low income. Under opportunity to access your housing project, you were asked to please describe how eligible populations will be provided equal opportunity to access your housing. You copied the Fair Housing Act into your clause, that's fine, but for the purposes of understanding what your application means to the board and how we can support this, for a housing developer applying for affordable housing tax credit dollars or funds for a senior-focused project, how do you implement affirmative marketing strategies to ensure equal access and meet specific income targeting requirements? So how are you going to meet those 30, 50, 60, and 80% AMI with just go ahead. I think I asked the question. I'm going to continue.
That is a great question. And so Cohen-Esrey is not only a development company, it's also a management company and also just an apartment owning company, I guess. Our management side is completely focused on affordable across the United States. So we follow all federal, state, and local rules. So I could probably speak on that to some extent, but I know our compliance director could speak on that a lot more. But we follow every rule in the books, and then we try to go beyond that in a lot of communities.
Yeah. Speaking on a lot of communities too, I wanted to just kind of look into the Cohen-Esrey Development Group online. And because I have a community focus lens on everything that I do in community, I had to pull this. It's excerpt, but you just mentioned that your apartment company is or Cohen-Esrey is also an apartment owning company, so do they do the management of the rentals as well?
Yes, so with the LIHTC rules and affordable housing rules, you kind of need to be somewhat of a specialist in navigating rules and regulations around affordable housing. So that's a lot of that. But yes, it's in-house management and in-house development.
Okay, so I just wanted to pull up something I got online. Are you aware that your neighbors at Central Park Tower in downtown Omaha say that it's not safe for the disabled and elderly to live there? And there was a KMTV report that talked about a senior eligible veteran who had reported, and quite a bit of times reported the ineligible or inhabitable living that was at the Central Park Tower apartments. And since you talked about having 8,000 locations and the apartment management being in Cohen-Esrey, I wonder how the response and what is a response to an applicant or a person living under such conditions that claims it to be inhabitable? Also looking at, one elevator for the occupants, how do you navigate those kinds of disgruntled applicants and look to supporting your renters?
That's another great question. I can't speak specifically on that property. That is not something that development had anything to do with. It should be noted that Coun-Esrey owns a lot of our properties, but we also manage it for third parties. So we bring in maybe owners that have been less than good. I can get you more information on the Central Park Towers. I can speak on the development side of all the units that we've developed, which is the 8,000 that we talked about. We always try to strive for the highest quality, highest standard. We try to build to the highest quality. So we have to be mindful of cost because, there's limits to the subsidies that we receive. So we have to be mindful of that. I can't speak specifically on that.
We're out of time anyway, but thank you very much for your presentation and for fielding these questions. Okay. We are 7:32. We're making great progress. The next application and presentation, rather, we will hear will come from Floret Hill.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all.
Hi.
You too. It's been a little while, so it's good to see you too. I'm Kelsey Hare. This is Dave Rhodes. We're here to discuss Floret Hill with you. I think you all are pretty familiar with this project, but just to start with a recap of us. I do think everyone here knows who we are, but we'll just recap. We are Wheatland Investments. We are a family-owned company. We have properties in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. We've got 35 years plus experience in residential and multifamily development. We not only build, but we do self-manage. That was a good question earlier, by the way. We own Bethel Estates of Lawrence, which is a 90-unit senior affordable housing. We also own and manage the Estates of Lawrence. It's a 38-unit senior housing. We also own and maintain them for over 35 years. Do I just hit the up arrow to go?
I go right or left.
Okay, thank you. I forgot about this, so we'll skip past that slide. Floret Hill is located on the southeast corner of K10 and Bob Billings. It's about 14.5 acres. It will have 121 affordable housing units, helping to meet your goal, especially on that west side. We consist of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. We have already received our 4% allocation. Thank goodness, since they are making that go away. And we've also received our Lawrence Housing Trust funds from you all previously. And then we have lenders and investors that are committed to this project. We have a relationship with Tenants to homeowners, so it will enable this property to remain permanently affordable. Even after that 15-year LIHTC or 30-year at this point, Tenants to homeowners will continue this on and keep it permanently affordable. Okay. Oop, I think I went to the wrong one. Just a little bit about our project, just to refresh everyone's memory. We will have a community building. We will include some amenities for our residents. We're going to have a picnic area, a playground area, walking paths. Some of our units will have garages. They will have in-washer and dryer hookups. We have 121 units. The breakdown is here, 12 one-bedrooms, 71 two-bedrooms, and 38 three-bedrooms. I do have the rents if you guys are curious, but it will be 30 to 60% rents. The reason we're here today, and Dave is up here in case you guys start asking some real technical questions, he is going to jump in and assist me. When we brought this to you previously, we based our budget and we based everything off of our knowledge and our experience from previous projects. When we got the awards and we started moving forward and we hired our engineers and everyone else to start getting involved, we realized the topography of this site is a little bit more than what we had anticipated. There is a lot of limestone rock. To be really honest with you, it was an additional $4 million added to our infrastructure costs. We have covered $3.2 million. We have found additional ways, and so that's why we're coming to you all for the $800,000. We still think it's a great project. We have our plans ready to be submitted to the city within the next week or so to start getting comments back for building permits. I mean, we are close. We did not expect the huge limestone. I think that's about it, unless you have questions, and then I may just hide and let Dave know.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Are there questions from the board? Yes, Mark.
So obviously you're digging into the ground footings and foundations, and then you got to run utilities. I mean,
Correct.
why couldn't we just make it higher? If I owned the ground, I'd say, why don't you just, so tell me why. You got to do what you got to do.
We worked through that process of trying to elevate the site, and with the topography of this site right now, it is pretty steep down to low.
Right.
So you increase the roads, the sidewalks, the more you increase that, Langston Street that's on the east side increases the steepness. We looked at all possibilities to try to avoid this, and it just didn't work. This is an expensive site to develop.
Yeah.
Go.
I'm going to say that's why the people that donated it.
Well, I think
It happened to be dirt work people.
I think Monty said that, not us too.
But nonetheless, it was donated, and it's a great site. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
It's in the right part of town. It's a good number.
And we're not waiting on an application approval.
Yeah, and approved.
I can say too, just for what it's worth, we have had a couple of community, like neighbor, and they are so excited. One of the neighbors has lived across the street for 30, 40 years, and they were just concerned how it was gonna look. So when we showed them pictures, I mean, they're all so excited, so.
David Ambler.
What?
I think
in my neighborhood.
I think I might know who that is.
Yeah.
We try to involve community engagement so that we can get the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I reviewed it. I was like, big hit on the site development.
It was not expected.
Expensive
We
site.
anticipated some rock. I mean, we actually increased our budget when we originally did our budget. We increased what we thought would cover it. But we didn't come close after we got the geotech report, and
Are you going to have to blast?
we're hopeful we don't have to, but we might.
You'll find some friends,
Yeah.
but
Have you gone back to KHRC for additional resources? I mean, I see in the app that you also didn't have any home or housing trust fund in there. And I know it's a year-old application.
The only thing that we've gone to KHRC is to ask them for the extension to the end of the year.
And I think the other thing is with the 4% federal, being ongoing. The state is going to drop at the end of this year.
Right.
And so if we went back and altered the application, we were concerned that they might pull it.
Be next
And we
year's
did
problem.
not want to have come back and not have the state
Yeah, that makes
credit.
sense. Makes sense.
Currently,
'Cause
we have the
couldn't-
funding.
We couldn't do this project without the state credit.
Yeah.
Did you get the AHP funds, the Federal Home Loan Bank?
We've applied.
We're waiting for that answer.
And that's this month, right? Is that when they do? They used to in October. I don't know when they do.
No, I think it's a little
November.
further
I
out.
think it's November.
Applications for October, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's a possible 1.5 million.
Correct.
And you have as much debt as you can carry. You did, at least on the original LIHTC application, you had a pretty healthy, it looked like a pretty healthy debt service coverage.
We bumped it as high as, the debt as high as we could to meet the 115 debt service coverage.
Okay,
We can't go any higher, you start eroding your debt service coverage.
right.
Does that ratio basically mean your debt is $1 and you're getting $1.15 in revenue? Is it that simple?
It's that simple.
Thank you. I was going to ask him after the meeting.
This is why I brought him up, guys.
Reserves and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you have $100,000 in
and debt,
then you need $115,000 in revenue to satisfy that.
I got it.
And the investors are gonna want to see that kind of as a.
Sure.
as
That's
the
their
minimum,
And
yeah.
they actually want better
Yeah.
because there's always trouble. Thank you.
Always surprises. On the operating budget, again, looking at the LIHTC application, I think, or maybe it was on this one, you had additional revenue of $50 a month per unit.
It's typically late fees or application fees.
Okay, it's not like
It's
a
not.
mandatory parking or
No.
anything like that.
No, no.
Because there'll be garages or there'll be a parking lot. We don't have carports or anything of that nature, so.
Well, I hope you have better tenants than that.
What?
I hope you have better
I
tenants.
think on the
than-
west side, we're going to have great tenants.
Yeah. So I guess,
Is the breakdown of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms in here?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
actually,
All right, as long as it's in there, I'll
yeah.
calculate what I want to calculate.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I had a question in the section about disclosures. I noticed that there was no financial audit. Is your agency under any kind of obligation to provide a financial audit?
We provide a financial audit every year.
Okay. It says no, that you have not completed a financial audit for Flowert?
We haven't started the project yet.
Oh, gotcha. Well, there you go.
But
We have
but
submitted
moving
all our
forward,
reports to
we have.
Leah, though.
Okay.
They're required.
Right.
and you'll have a cost certification at the end.
Correct.
Our cost certification.
Correct.
Is that done by an accountant?
It's done by an accountant. And they certify.
Their
Third party.
third-party experience with
Apartment.
those kind of deals.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any additional questions? Thank you very much for
Thank you
your
all. Good to
time
see you
and
again.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for waiting.
Okay, we are down to the final presentations we have next for us. Flint Hills.
I think Tony's online and
All right.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Great.
Good, good.
My name is Troy Smith, and I work with Tony, so I'll be presenting today. And then, as you said, he is online, so he'll be back up when I have to look at you and say, I don't know. I've been working with Tony for about a year in development assistance capacity. We have 3 projects up for consideration this evening. And when I quickly read the email that asked about a presentation for Ninedale, well, that's what I sent in very proudly, and then realized that I needed to speak on all 3. So I have this really great little presentation for probably the simplest of our 3. But if I could, would it be all right if we started maybe with Polar, because I think that's going to be the easiest one to get through, and then Ninedale, and that would leave us the most time for East Heights? Is that,
I think
fair and reasonable?
You've got the presentation already planned out. If you have
Okay.
that sculpted, yes, let's go ahead and do it that way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again. Polar Lofts, as you know, has been in service since 2012, and it is 49 units, 1 and 2 bedrooms. It's located at 619 East 8th Street. It has an average occupancy of 95%, and is functionally about 100% occupancy because it fills very quickly. It is a national award-winning property, and developer is seeking 25% of costs for some necessary repairs. $335,499 is the total. Developer is seeking $83,875, which would cover 3 major repairs. One is replacement of some rooftop HVAC units, which are $32,960. And when I turn those in our application, Leah, I did gross them up for taxes and appropriate. So you'll see my numbers are a little bit higher than what the bids were. That's why. Because if it said taxes were not included, I went ahead and calculated that out. Second is for a sewer line replacement. It is not failed, but it is definitely needing maintenance on a routine basis. We're seeking we're needing $82,539 in repairs there. And then on the exterior of the building, we are looking at about $220,000, and that would be primarily tuck pointing and just keeping up with the brick. If you know this building, it is just a beautiful building. Has been a stalwart of the arts district since it's gone online, and I think that if Tony chimed in, he would say that it's definitely a great success story that he's been very proud of. So that is our ask on Polar Lofts, and I would like to turn it over to questions, and hopefully you don't ask too many I can't answer.
Sure. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, ma'am.
On Polar Lofts, can I just clarify, is Polar Lofts the only application that you have as a rehab?
Yes.
Is it existing buildings in service? Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the others do not have a rehab aspect?
Correct, yes.
New development. Thank you. Are there additional questions from the board on the Polar Lofts?
How are your reserve accounts looking?
Because this has been in service since 2012, all the reserves are well within compliance. Those are all obviously tested and have to.
I'm wondering how healthy is that pot of funds?
Tony could probably speak more closely to that.
That question sounds like it's coming from a guy that knows what he's talking about. Is that a gentleman named Barry?
Yeah.
I thought so. Hello, Barry. Great question. We've got fully funded reserve accounts, and as you know, very hard to get to. Alliant Capital, purchased by Walker Dunlop, is very diligent, great fiduciary responsibility to their investors. And what Troy did not mention is including the tuck pointing that's necessary. Over the next 5 years, we have about $600,000 of expenditures that we need. And so we couldn't drain those reserve accounts dry if we wanted to, as you know. And so we're trying to, I think, Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, we're asking for 25% resources from Ahab, and I also believe, Barry, being 12 years into this, we still have some deferred developer fee left to be paid out. I'm not sure if that answers your question fully, and to be perfectly honest, I do not have the reserve account number with me tonight.
That's helpful. I'm assuming at year 15 that you're staying in it for the full 30, right?
Yeah, that was before, that was right when Fred changed the rule. I mean, as you know as well as anybody, these 9% deals don't make it to 30 years, as much as we would love to talk about permanent affordable housing and even 30 years. So there will be a resyndication made probably around year 18, 19, 20. I'm sure you've heard I had to take over, or I chose to take over the Pioneer Group portfolio over the last 24 months. And well, it's not this project nor Ninedale Lofts is in that dire straits, because we've had great management from Weiga and Omega, and hopefully you'd agree, we've had a general partner that's been looking over the properties. It'll probably make it closer to year 20, but this will 100% be a re-syndication.
But it won't go to qualified contract. It'll stay affordable for the 30.
Well, I mean, by default, it'll be better than that. We couldn't go to qualified contract even if we wanted to. And when we re-up this project with KHRC, just as we are with the other Pioneer Group portfolio, there will be not only the first 15, 16, 17, 18 years, whatever it be, seen through at re-syndication, at least on paper, we will sign up for another 30.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for the Polar Lofts? Okay, we'll move on to your next application presentation. I believe that's either Ninedale Lofts too?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
East Heights, okay.
Well, Ninedale. Would you be willing to pull up my very fancy PowerPoint, please?
Sure. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong computer. Hold on. Let me get on yours.
You're driving 2 cars back there?
Would you like me to pull it up, Kurt?
No, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Which computer I was on.
Appreciate you.
Can't drive one.
Well, it's supposed to be in there.
There we go. So this was what I thought we were doing tonight. So very quickly, Ninedale, just quick, we'll do introduction, background, site plan, floor plans, elevations, talk about meeting community, housing needs, and final thoughts. And this one, please recall that Ninedale already has a Ninedale 2 already has a $450,000 grant, and we are seeking an $80,000 fee waiver from you all for this project. This is second phase of low-income housing tax credit initiative. Obviously, catty corner to the site is Ninedale Lofts 1. This particular project will mirror what Tony has pioneered in the Arts District and also on New Hampshire Lofts, where it will be a mix of LIHTC units with some first floor live-work units, which would support the artisan community that is already in existence there. The 36 units of single family will be 26 will be affordable, 10 will be market rate. Of the affordable, 15% will be 30% AMI, 40%, I'm sorry, 15% at 30% AMI, 30% at 40% AMI, and 53% at 60% AMI. I had to practice that a couple times. Again, we are seeking a fee waiver for this particular site. CT Design, Connor Trainer has developed it. Of note on this, and what would be the plan, southwestern corner, which is actually southeast, would be the wishing bench, and as you see, that is remaining on the site. We remain committed to kind of the art and culture of that area, and we know how important the wishing bench is, and so that has been incorporated into the site, where you can see the, again, in that lower corner, you can see where the sidewalk moves around it. You can see we have on Delaware Street parallel parking. There is a sawtooth parking there on 9th, as well as sawtooth parking off of the alley, and then head-in parking on the other alley leading back to Delaware Street, excuse me. There are some private patios on the back of the live-work units. Trash enclosure is up in that upper corner there on the right, and then your utilities are also enclosed. This would show you a layout of the units, the ground floor being on the bottom there with the live-work units, and then levels 2 through 4 above. This building does match the height and kind of the depth and breadth of what's already going on there in the Arts District. So Connor worked very hard to make sure that we maintain the character of what's going on. The building is a mix of brick, and where you can see there are some insets where the doors come out to the patios. There's a vertical metal, so it's a mix of brick and metal, just again trying to remain in character with the Arts District down there. And obviously we don't have colored renderings yet, as we're just not that far down the road. This site will be submitted again in January to KHRC. We are optimistic that we would be awarded moving forward. That is just optimism, developer optimism. You all understand that? Those are obviously due early January. At this point, they will be due January 10th. Full applications in May, award announcements in July. And then I did provide with our third quarter report a schedule which would put the building into service in 2028. This site, again, tries to address the tight rental market, affordability barriers, cost burdens, housing type, income targeting, population focus, and then the local advantage. When Leah hosted the meeting a few weeks back where we were talking about low-income housing, and you asked the question of what's the number one thing, and a person sitting about 3 chairs over from me said, we need more affordable housing. And I leaned forward and said, we're going as fast as we can. So this is just another opportunity for Tony to continue his successful track record of just dedication to the affordable housing both in the Warehouse Arts District and now again on New Hampshire lofts. So this one again, I think is the simplest of the 3. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to field those. And if I need help, I know I've got Tony in the background.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board?
So this is basically going on top of what's an existing parking lot right now, correct?
Yeah, it's just a grass parking lot right now, correct?
It's a grass parking lot?
I believe is it grass, Tony? I should know it, I'm down there.
No, it's paved.
Yes, it is paved.
Paved, so.
Some help.
Well, no,
I think it's a mix.
it's one of the rare opportunities in life. There's not 2 sides to every story. Half of it's paved, half of it's grass. And the part that's paved is in such poor condition, the city does not recognize it as a parking lot. So take that what you will.
Okay, well, that gets to the core of my question. I was just wondering if the project was eliminating existing parking in that area, which the answer is no.
That is correct. There is not one parking lease on the entire property. We're helping out a friend and a neighbor, Matt Gilhausen, with some temporary parking, but that, I believe, goes through the end of this year. I believe that was the request of the city as well. Do not hold me to that, please.
Yeah. Okay, that was my question.
I will also chime in on something Troy said. Is developers, we need to be creative and we do need to be optimists. This is the second submission of 9 Del Lofts Phase 2. I will tell you, had we had these points, we would have ranked second in the state, and as Barry can probably confirm, with the state light tech credit still remaining intact at the 9% end, with the increase in federal credit of 12.5% for every state per year, there will likely be 12 to 13 9% projects awarded. This project next year will likely rank number 1 in the state, as confirmed through our discussions with KHRC. And not that anybody has this up in front of them, but on page 30 of the new qualified allocation plan, the only reason we are requesting the amount of money that we are in such a very specific number, this is to maximize our points for the fee waiver category of units between 31 and 100 units. 5 points gets you 5 points is awarded for $40,000 in fee waivers. 10 points is received for $80,000. So in case anybody was wondering how we came up with that specific number, that can be found on page 30 of the qualified allocation plan.
Are there any additional questions from the board?
Questions, if that's okay?
Yes.
So if you could clarify, you've submitted 2 applications for projects that still need tax credits. Are you planning on submitting both of those projects?
Absolutely.
KHRC in January?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And for this project, last year, Ninedale lost to was awarded funds for 29 affordable units. This application states that there will be 26 affordable units, and in a City of Lawrence incentive request, it stated that there were 24 affordable units. So I'm wondering if you could speak to those discrepancies.
Sure, those are clearly oversights, and as we are not fully developed on our plans yet, we're absolutely going to comply with what we need to for the city.
Well, I mean, but Troy,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me handling this.
Please.
There's been 2 requests to the city. We went back and forth, and I think it's also important to note, at the time, we were also believing that we were going to receive our tax abatement for the 9515, which we have had all bodies vote in support of. But Leah, as you know, in the email that we provided, there is 26 affordable units that are provided for this project. And we went back and forth at the time because, as you know, this isn't a historic district. And so we did have a local environs review through the HRC. And so of the units now that are set, 26 of the units are going to be affordable and obviously therefore have a land use restriction applied to them.
So 26 is the real number, not kidding, right?
Well, I mean, ask me tomorrow, Mark, but yeah, no, 26 is set in stone because I don't want to pay Connor Trainer any more money to draw it again.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
I have one more question.
Absolutely,
Sorry. Since I got 4 minutes.
yeah. You've got minutes, yeah.
Tony, I'm looking at this and I just break it down per door. We're talking about $400 and plus dollars, $400,000 or more per door on 1-bedroom apartments. To me, that seems really high. Can you?
Yeah,
there's no.
Monty, I heard you ask that question last time. You're first of all, you're 100% accurate, but and I'm not trying to help out one of my competitors, but multi-story elevator building, nothing's getting done, especially with inflation where it's at right now. Essentially, you know, and where we're at today is what we used to refer to as Davis-Bacon wages equivalent 5-10 years ago. But on this one, I did want to point out, you're not looking at, or at least I would not be looking at the first floor live work units, the commercial space on the first floor. And I also wanted to make sure that you're taking into account the 10 market rate units that we're intentionally including to provide a balanced project. When you take those into effect, it's at $353,361 a door, which again, I can't remember 2 presentations ago. I think they were right there on the button. And just to give you guys a frame of reference, I did pull this up earlier. Ninedale Lofts, we are going to finish at, bear with me. And by the way, that project will be done in the next 3 weeks, right, Troy?
Yes, you said Ninedale, he means New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yep. And I'm taking a dig at Troy. If it's not done in 3 weeks, he owes me a beer. But that project, real live project that all of you see every day, right downtown 11th and New Hampshire Street. That project, including the live work units, will finish at $327,536 a door. And so, Monty, appreciate the comment. Things are crazy expensive. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I believe to get a whole picture here, we do need to include the live work units as well as the market rate.
Okay.
That brings one, while you're hot there, do you have a square foot number? You're doing doors, and I get why you do it, because that's.
Yep, hold on. Let me pull up. You want New Hampshire, or I'm assuming you want Ninedale too, right?
Yeah, just so we see the difference that you're talking about, other than in a door.
Yep. Total cost of construction or total cost total project cost? Well, let me give it to you both ways. That was Mark asking the question, right?
Yeah, as consistently as you can, so a guy like me can say, oh, I get it.
Yep. I would pay first construction $206 a door on their contract. And let me give it to you the other way. I'm going to take this number divided by. Now, this number I'm giving you, Mark, obviously includes soft costs, the whole shoot and match.
Right.
So think about it this way: $206 a door to the contractor, $309 a door, all in, everything included.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, are there additional questions from the board on Flint Hills 9 Lofts 2? I just wanted to correct or make a confirmation. All of the units in 9 Lofts are 1 bedrooms, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
9L2, yes, correct. Except for the first floor live-work units, but those are different condo. But yes, the units that are LIHTC are 1 bedroom, correct.
And there's 36 units total.
26 and 10, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful question. Of the 26 one-bedroom units, we're actually seeing if, well, let me rephrase this. This is set in stone at this moment in time. We actually explored seeing if we could go from 26 units to 30 units with some studios, because in this district, we have 200 people on the waiting list. If we ever have a vacancy, it's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom. And that's not to state that there's not a market for that. There's just not a market for that in a multifamily elevator building in this area compared to the need for 1-bedroom or studio units.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Are there any additional questions on 9 Lofts 2? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. I think there's another one that you have. It has to have East Heights. I wanted to give each one of them the respect they deserve. So your project application and presentation for East Heights, please.
Correct. East Heights, obviously the former East Heights School. This will be a very interesting project we're very excited to undertake. It would be a LIHTC, would include a daycare, community center, and have a very holistic approach so that it would support working families and or single parents that has a daycare on site. This would be 40 units, 5 at 30% AMI, 9 at 40%, 16 at 60%, 10 market rate units. We have 2 asks for this. One is an $80,000 fee waiver, and secondarily is a $900,000, which is approximately 5.7% of cost, and it breaks out to $22,500 per door, which is in line with other awards that have been given. You all should have the complete budget in the application that was turned in. This one is again, it's when Tony first said to me, hey, let's go look at this, the possibilities were just, they were really exciting for the unit because or the school, because it's going to be a mix. Obviously, it's got a rich history, and whenever you close a school, it's a very sad thing, and the neighborhood always says, well, what are you going to do with it? And I think this is a great answer to what are you going to do with it, which is going to be to support culturally and income diverse populations, and again, give them support in the daycare community center, which we would hope that the community would continue to rally around as they did when it was a school. So very unique opportunity to redevelop this particular project. And at this point, I don't know how much you all want me to go into further detail about it. Obviously, it's going to be a rehab of a school. And so there's not a lot of great drawings or that kind of thing, because the structure is the structure. All the work would take place inside of the walls.
You get it?
Well, we've got 13 minutes. If you wanted to play any additional information to the East Heights, we'd love to hear it. But if not, we'll stand for questions. Does anyone have any questions from the board?
So you'll do 40 three-bedroom units inside the school? Is that- am I seeing that?
Hey, Barry, can I clarify that?
I don't think
we've looked at this project a number of different ways, and I'm not, and again, I like Troy, I misread that invitation to submit, but this piece has not changed. That school is slated to be torn down. We're looking at this from an acreage standpoint. Connor Trainer could not be on the call tonight, but we're looking at, I don't want to call them zero lot line, single family homes, but for the same reason why an elevator building is not applicable or at least desirable for a family, we're trying to do the exact opposite here. So we're looking at single family homes or duplexes, and on this project we do still qualify for the qualified census tract boost, or I'm sorry, for the boost. At least I believe we still do, but this is anticipated being completely new construction, not taking any advantage of state and federal historic tax credits. So we're slating this for 40 units, completely new constrution.
Okay, I thought that's what I was looking at.
Apologize, everyone.
Is the daycare still included then? Is the daycare building still included?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. This project was passed over completely by the AHAB board last time, so we've not had a lot of discussion. From our understanding, there is still a very strong desire to have that component, but those details, I believe, would come together in pretty short order upon the award of this project. And again, we did not receive AHAB support last time on this project. Therefore, we knew the math behind it. We did not submit this to KHRC last time, where I can tell you that I'll bet you 99.9% 9 Lofts 2 is funded. I cannot say the same thing for this project, but I believe that KHRC will look upon this project fondly. I just can't say with that level of certainty as I can 9 2.
Got it.
I wanted to make a point of this project being supported in East Heights, or the East Heights project support. I feel quite the opposite. There was a lot of really encouraging and engaging and excitement over the possibility of East Heights being an Affordable Housing Advisory Board opportunity to commit any funding to. The entirety of that project excited me, having a childcare facility and utilizing a building. So I just wanted to point that we were excited about East Heights. I think there was good discussion on this project on AHAB last year.
Well, unfortunately, in the eyes of KHRC, discussion doesn't earn you any points, you know? And so what does earn you points are things like $80,000 fee waivers, and that's where it arose. So when you're developing a property like this, especially on a 9% deal, you're playing the points game, and it wouldn't have scored. It wasn't worth the paperwork it was written on. But with this approval, it would be possibly. So I appreciate your comment, but yeah, the approval from this board is what matters.
Are there any additional comments on the East Heights from the board?
I have a couple of questions, if that's okay. Tony, could you clarify that you have ownership of the property currently? Is that correct?
Of East Heights?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have site control in the form of a 3-year option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they are unable to sell it to anybody else during the duration of our option.
Okay.
And was that Leah that asked the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if in the conversation with the school board that you heard, where they asked a couple of times during 9 Lofts 2 a few weeks ago, hey, what's going on with East Heights? This is our priority. We really need to get East Heights done. That's what they were referring to.
Got it. Thank you. And so you don't currently have site plans. You would anticipate that that would be the next step, or you're developing those pending an award from the trust funds. Is that correct?
Well, we do have site plans from CT Design. I believe that those were submitted, and if they weren't, we can
I'm sorry.
resubmit those. It's the same that they were last year. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. I'm sure this might have been an oversight, but I am looking at the Flint Hills East Heights development, and in the check marks, it asks, has the company, developer, or any affiliated party been the defendant in any legal suit or action? There was no box checked. I'm not going to assume it's yes or no, but it may have been oversight because of the multiple applications. But just wanted to point that out, that wasn't answered in that box.
Okay.
Semantics,
Thank you.
sure.
No,
yes,
thank you. I
just
do
make
appreciate
an
that.
acknowledgement of that. Are there any?
I can answer that if anybody wants to hear it.
Sure.
Sure. You've got a couple of minutes to do that.
Yeah, we were a defendant, I think, once or twice, and I believe we won both.
Thank you.
But not currently, right?
No, Mark, not, I mean, again, ask me tomorrow, but no, not currently.
I think you did address it on one of your applications, Tony.
Okay, sorry about that, Barry. Yeah, there's no pending litigation. I don't believe ever against us, but us against somebody else, not at all right now. So waters are smooth.
Thanks, Tony. All right. Are there any additional comments or any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly apologize for that misunderstanding.
Not at
Thank you
all.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
Okay, that completes all the presentations for this 2025 Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Thank you all. That was a lengthy discussion. So moving on, we have some quick updates. I feel like we are at 8:17, so we will talk briefly on them, and then I'll leave it up to you all to look at the calendar dates and put those onto your calendars. But we will go into D, the AHAB chair and vice chair election. That will take place the next time we meet on October 23rd. So just make those notes, especially for newcomers. The other update would be the scores and recommendations. So Monday, November 3rd at 5 p.m. You will be turning in your trust fund advisory board recommendations to Leah no later than 5 p.m. So per policy, any AHAB member who is not available today or was not present will not be able to participate in the final deliberation and award recommendation if you did not submit your score by that time. So please do that. The next update is the meetings. October 28th and the 13th of November will be at the Lawrence Public Library Meeting Room A.
October which?
It'll be on 28th and the November 13th date.
We'll be in the library until the new year.
2 meetings.
I thought it was before I was gone.
So just those notes to make sure of.
Are you going to
in
be
your
gone?
calendar. Sorry.
I thought it was 23rd.
Oh, it says the 28th
Oh,
here.
I think I might have had a typo.
Oh, okay. Then the 28th
I'm
is not the date.
sorry. Let me double check.
So I hope it's the 23rd.
No, you are correct. It is the 23rd.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize. I'll
be
update
here.
the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for making that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at that
That's
point,
at the library?
at that point, we're,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it here.
at that point, we've got our grid and our vote, and we can take the test.
Yeah.
If you
That'll
will.
be the November meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone for that, so I'm going to submit
Okay.
my test early to the teacher.
Amazing.
Okay.
You always come with the jokes. I love it. All right. So next update will be about our board member, Elizabeth Beth O'Neill, has resigned from the AHAB, so she will not be with us through the next couple of meetings and no longer. Elizabeth wrote a note just talking about the great overwhelm of life and circumstances, which takes her away from this board's commitment. So we, yes, we will have one less board member. And that is all. We have reached the end of our agenda updates, and just make note of the calendar events coming up. And we will look forward to seeing you next time. I do not need to have a meeting adjournment call to order any of those members. We are all ready to get out of here. Thank you for your time, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well-run meeting. Thanks.
Yeah, we got through it all.